Ouch. Okay, friends. I did not intend to go live today at all. I really am not free to go live, but I wanted to make sure I could set this up with audio at the very least. This is the Wightfire, and I just totally spelled that. Oops. Put an R on there. It's W-I. Okay, hopefully the description of the video changes. Sorry, friends. I'm really preoccupied with trying to make sure that my family and friends are safe down in Hurricane Milton. And I've worked on that all day yesterday. I really wish I could have been live.
County, copy, animal problem, City Sebastopol.
Hope that's not too loud. We've got a situation here just south of Clear Lake, and so I know that that's been an area that's troubled lately, so I wanted to make sure everything is okay here. And but I've got to really check on my friends and family, and it's making me behind in everything I need to do to get ready to go to California. Hey, Christopher Luttrell, welcome. Thanks for being here day after day. You are the man. I am monitoring this. I have some news in a second about what.
1468, I'll be Wight IC. Engine 1468 will be operations.
It is looking better, but there's some problems that are happening right now.
03, sending Wight IC 16 phone.
Just when they were saying it's looking better and the heat is down from this column is erupted about 30 minutes ago or so. I found out about it about 15 minutes ago. So KRC says your DAC. So yeah, I can't really be available today, but I want to at least check on this situation. I've got to go and I've got to make several phone calls before 5. You know, get things refilled and mailed to me. I have to order some sound gear, accessories for the laptop, and so many other things that have to arrive before I can leave. They have to be shipped right now, otherwise I can't leave. You know, right about the 15th. So the situation right here is just as they were declaring it looking pretty good. And I thought, well, maybe I don't have to stream. And welcome, friends. Is that there's.
The other one will be kind of southeast, out where it opens up. And it looks like it's near, not quite to the structures, but there's a roadway there. You can plant that. I can't tell if you can cross the creek or you can walk right through it. You'll see the retardant out in the field.
Okay, that's a structure threatened. So just as I thought, well, maybe I don't have to go live as I was setting up the, situation here, then they said there's a spot across the road and it's headed towards structures. Helicopter, please go get it. Helicopter, go get it.
9436 yellow Digger.
And oftentimes I am doing this.
White air attack, air to ground label.
Copy. Comes back clear and expired 531 of 24 to a 2005 Chevy that is registered to a.
Okay, who really cares about that? That's Lake County Fire and Law.
Out of Kelseyville.
That one's East Lake County. Okay, so I'm going to mute it for a second, just to tell you guys what's going on. Just around 4:06 or so, as I was about to press the live button, they came across the radio and said it's looking much better, and the smoke column is a lot better than, when it looked like that. It's lessening. They put some retardant splashes down. They got helicopters on it real quick. Watch duty says, yes, there are structures threatened. Just as they said, yeah, it's looking pretty good. There's a little bit of heat over here. They said there's a spot fire, went over the road. Helicopter, please go get it. Ground crews are chasing it. And then they said, yeah, it's going right up to a structure. So that's why not hit the live button, because I had it all set up, because I'm still looking at the situation. That's what I do a lot of the times is I am monitoring fires, but I only want to go live when I'm really busy during a crisis. So at the very least, we're going to see what the situation brings, and then maybe I can talk to you guys a little bit. But I've got to run errands and get a flu shot and do all these things. I can't see my elderly father without a flu shot. And so, I mean, it's all this stuff has to line up. And looks like I'll be visiting Grumpy Gamer Guy. He's got a laptop available. Looks like it'll work as a temporary measure. And we searched for 8 hours the other day to try to buy one during like this Prime Day thing, and there's been too much clearance. And I think I dodged a bullet with that situation anyway, with the Intel literally melting down. Most of the processors that went into any laptop that was Intel for the past like year and a half, Raptor Lake. Intel screwed up majorly, and they told the manufacturers like MSI, Dell, Lenovo, our processors can accept this amount of voltage, and we got some good drops in there. Just look at this situation. There's not much activity on the radio. I'll put that on in a second. So all of the manufacturers of these laptops and computers, they've put in the secret control panel in the computer called the BIOS that controls voltages and stuff. They over voltaged Intel Raptor Lake CPUs, the 13th and 14th generation. So that's pretty much like all of them that were made in like for the last year and a half, maybe two. So Intel may face a massive recall. It looks like if I had bought anything from this era that I would have just inherited problems and the laptop would have failed. So coming out just like in a month or two on Black Friday is a brand new generation of video cards and laptops. So we came to the conclusion that we'll come out with the fresh stuff because it's too hard to find one that's not open box or returned or refurbished with the specific needs we have. So I don't want to. The only way to make an older laptop safe with those Intel CPUs is to buy a brand new one that has never been turned on before, or not much, and then you can give it an update that Intel just released, and then from then on it's safe. But if it's already been used, then the CPU is probably already damaged, and there's no fixing that. So sometimes laptops you can remove the CPU and you can swap it out with the expensive, warranty service, or I could do that myself because I'm good with computers. But anymore, these CPUs are soldered in, and you can't remove them. So like the whole laptop is gone. So this is the best we can do. Grumpy Gamer Guy to the rescue. We turn on the radio.
There's active fire, it's hard to see.
Active fire. Okay, let me look back. Matthias, hey, welcome. How are you? 5 minutes I'll be in and out watching the hurricane. I know that's something I'm biting my fingernails off with. I can't make contact with some of my relatives down there. So I guess I have to do the wait and see thing. But there's a 300-acre shoe fire. Christopher says I have an idea. Let's make it into a hurricane stream to get the spider wrapped up. Hey, don't you worry about a thing, Grumpy. I'll come help you. You're so generous, I'll come help you. It's going to be a long drive out there. So maybe I can stream it tomorrow. I may go to see Grumpy Gamer Guy, and I'll be driving significant distance, but I don't know if it'll be a dead zone or what, or if it'll be boring. I don't know. It would be a good practice.
New assignment, cover station 31. Bridge, engine 1471, sailing in new assignment, cover station 34.
Okay, let's go look at the shoe fire. Thanks for being here, friends.
That's probably 10 by 20 along a roadway. And major production of smoke, or limited production of smoke, I should say, off the left flank, about 2/3 of the way up before the road. Everything else is looking pretty good. 2 tankers in orbit, 2 copters.
That is, can we call for progress stops, or should we sit tight a little longer?
Central 1032.
Okay, we're listening to the Wightfire. We're looking at the shoe fire. We got a level.
Let me get with 601, see if they can see anybody.
Got level 3 evacuations here in Shasta County for the shoe fire.
Picked up. Just worried about one of the trees near a structure. The last time around, they saw some active fire.
acknowledged.
Thank you, friends, for letting me know about it. I don't know what's up with watch duty. Oh, it's because I had the Wightfire opened and it didn't make sound to notify me. Okay, all right. So this is the Shoe Fire, and this is around Mountain Shasta. We do have level 3 mandatory evacuations. I came down the pipe about 20 minutes ago. Let's see if we've got a map that'll show us better. So this is the new breaking news situation. Where the heck is this? Can we just go to Shasta? Shasta? The lake? All right, we're in the ballpark now.
There's the flags on it.
28 Central, clear for 21 detail regarding suspicious search.
Oh, the whole red thing
28.
is the evacuation zone. All right, that makes sense.
RP say Valerie, employee at Timothy Toy Associates, and it's 707.
All these license plate runs and stuff like that. Is part of it is law enforcement. We're still listening to the Clear Lake situation. They're about to declare forward progress stop, but there's still a structure that's threatened. So we're still listening to Clear Lake. We'll switch to Shasta in a second. We've got a very large evacuation zone. It's somewhat pretty rural to the northeast section of the lake, like just where it becomes rivers. Probably down there in the flatland where it kind of steeply rises up into hills by the reservoir, it looks like. So this new Shoe Fire, you can kind of see it here. That is a massive level 3 evacuation zone. That is huge. Wow. So yeah, it didn't look like it was this bad earlier. I checked it on the cams. It was just this little thing, and it seemed like it might be minimal, but that's not the case now. All right. Let me turn on the radio for Clear Lake. And we'll get
5531, air attack on air ground 2.
I'm going to add Round Mountain Shasta to our custom view. Clear Lake's looking much better. Fingers crossed. Round Mountain Shasta 1. So, yeah, that's really ugly. We'll keep our tile set ready here.
St. Helena, contact Cruise 2 and 4 at scene of the White incident.
I wonder if this aircraft will have to go up there if Redding can handle it. Yes, friends, thank you. Remember, hit the like button. Thank you so much, friends. It helps. I know everybody's glued to the hurricane, but
Division Alpha, air attack, air ground 2.
These lower left is Shasta area, and
71's in route, cover station 34.
the others are Clear Lake, which is
71, 1623.
hopefully
54 units, copy.
going to stabilize real quick. What's the temperature and all that at Shasta and at Clear Lake?
Central 1032.
Oh, we got, okay, now watch duties on it. Okay, Shoe Fire, new update. Fire's been updated to about 250 acres up there in Shasta County. Short range spotting, the aircraft are working the left flank with tankers and hose, are making progress on the right flank up there in Shasta County. I have to make a couple of calls before 5 p.m. This is not negotiable.
Operations, White air attack, air ground 2.
So I'm going to leave this here a second. I'll be right back. If you friends can just hold the fort maybe 10 or 15 minutes while I make 2 phone calls.
Wait for White operations, air ground.
Thank you.
Drop the maid on the left flank to quiet that down. Not picking up any other spots. It does look like there's a few others in the tree line off the head where all the engines are staged. So some work gridding in there. Everything else looks really good. We'll keep the copters. I'll keep a couple tankers in orbit. Are you good with releasing one of the tankers back to Sonoma so they have some coverage?
For the update.
I wonder if we shouldn't switch to Shasta audio real quick.
03 at scene 1625. You're badly broken.
That's a very large evacuation zone, but it's mostly campgrounds and hikers and the like. You know, don't assume that everybody knows about it. Make your phone calls and let people know about the Shoe Fire, which is the northeast
St. Helena, training 1437, that's in east 1.
section of
37, 1625.
Shasta Lake. We're listening to Clear Lake, but I think I want to change that real quick. Boy, I've got to make some phone calls. So it's anywhere from 250 to 300 acres. So we've got personnel on it. It just didn't seem that bad earlier, but it just it's quite good. It's quite massive on the cam. So
St. Helena, White IC. Still holding 2 to 5. A lot of dirty burn around the edge and a couple of spots we're working on. No containment yet, but making good progress. Just update.
dirty burns on the edge. Okay.
White IC 16.6.
That's vocabulary. We'll try to call retired fire Captain John Bruno after this.
X-ray, air attack, air ground 2.
See my concern down lower left for Shasta County? Okay, I have to make these phone calls. Excuse me.
St. Helena, strike team 9210, Charlie, asking the White incident.
Yeah, just like they said on the radio,
10 Charlie 16.6.
they're doing well with the Wightfire, but lower left is Shasta. So excuse me, I have to make phone calls like pharmacy. Can't wait. I'll be right back, friends.
St. Helena, White air attack, aircraft release.
Attack St. Helena.
Tanker 85 release, loaded, ETA Sonoma 1641, 1641.
Air attack 16.9. Attack confirming ETA to Sonoma was 1631, 31.
41, 41.
16.9.
Engine 1480 is available, station 27's response area.
1480, 1630.
We're running out of targets here with the copters, especially the Type 1s with all the folks on the ground. You okay with sending 35 Sierra back to Sonoma?
Concur with the aircraft release, I concur. As long as the fire's looking good.
Looking really good with the drops on left flank. I'm just seeing there's smoke, no significant push, no additional spots.
Ricochet
GOA.
Say, yeah, 3 to 5, probably ranging close to 4 once you put everything together. Not yet, it seems.
And 1153 has come into the unit approximately 15 to 20 minutes ago. You also have Ben Lomond 5 and Ben Lomond 2, information 14, 20, 26.
Both Ben Lomond crews are at scene. You can cancel the MEU engine to the incident, and we'll make strike team 9210 Charlie available at scene.
Team 31. Same later. Engine 1153, St. Helena.
St. Helena, engine 1153. Public assist, 4th Street.
Engine 1153, St. Helena.
What would you like us to return to MEU or cover station? 921 4th Street, cross of Lake Street, Lake Red, 1632. One 53 copies returning.
St. Helena, White IC.
St. Helena.
Forward progress stopped, and 4 acres.
Fifteen 33.
Under 601, you got traffic? I copy. The lat long, I appreciate it, thank you.
White operations, White, air attack, air ground 2.
For operations.
Those last couple drops looking real good. I'd like to keep 601 for probably another 10 to 15 minutes till their crew can get back. Keep 601 orbit with a tank and release the fixed wing. You're good with that?
Thank you. Those are 14 forward. We got you huddled up next to that spot across Hills Creek. Copy.
Attack. aircraft release.
Station 70 Medical, Woodside Drive. Operations Copter 601, Aeroground 2. For operations. 7013 Medical, for general weakness, 15060 Woodside Drive, cross of Meadowbrook Drive, Lake Red, 1639. Show tonight.
Operations Wight air attack, airground 2. Wight operations, Wight air attack, airground 2.
Station 70 Medical, Cerrone Parkway.
Medic 6211, medical for sick person 14900, Surrounding Parkway, across the Vista Robles Way, Lake Red 1640. Break Medic 7013, St. Helena.
St. Helena Medic 7013, just to confirm, we have PD en route.
Medic 7013, that's Vernon, PD's been notified.
Okay, why the heck did the mute button happen? Shoot, God, okay. Just talking to myself. All right, I hope you guys understand. I'm just a little discombobulated here. I don't know what the mute button was doing on there. But that was a call from family. I'm still checking on family. They're stuck down there in the hurricane. I can't locate everybody. I hope you guys understand. I'm just busy with calls like that as well as calling the pharmacy. Hope you guys understand. That's what I was doing yesterday. So I'm looking for the audio is what I was babbling about, trying to get it up on my get Shasta County audio up. I just don't see any good feeds for the shoe fire. And if you guys do, let me know. This one looks pretty dang nasty. It's the bottom left image. The other parts were Clear Lake, and that is forward progress stopped, which is a good status to have, but it doesn't mean you're completely safe. They're still dealing with spot fires down there with the Wightfire at south of Clear Lake. I mean, it's looking much better. But they're releasing some aircraft. I don't know if they're going to go up to the shoe or what. Oh, why the heck was I muted? It should be like the studio should have a big blinking light that says when you're muted. Yeah, I'm kind of very stressed right now. Thank you for being here, friends. So, you've been watching Milton? Yeah, I was also just kind of saying maybe if there aren't any fires later, I could put the hurricane radar on. Okay, that's what we were waiting for. How loud is it going to be when it queues up?
Last units are ready and available in quarters, repeat.
Ah, okay. All right, so this is Clear Lake. It's looking better. Let's look over at Shasta. And look at our heat detections.
Crew 1, reading 4 p.m. Available in quarters.
We got it.
Copy, Crew 1, ready, copy.
1646.
Very large heat detection. It's some of it's, I'm sure, hot drifting smoke, but look at this rugged terrain. Let's see, Forest Service map. Let's see if it has it better. So it's a southwest wind looking like it's pushing it to the northeast with the shoe fire here. We have a huge mandatory evacuation spot. Once you compare it to the size of the lake, then it looks more impressive. Excuse me, I do have to take the phone call, so I'll be right back again. Oh God. Okay. Hey, welcome back, John. I'm good. Glad to see you. I mean, it's good that you're back. Sorry, friends. This is not back-to-back calls I warned you about trying to get them into the pharmacy before 5. So yeah, call me back. Pharmacy, call me back. Uh, things I have to order for the computer situation. So if Grumpy Gamer Guy's PC works, and yesterday I tried to find out if that would work for us, then it'll be a good holdover. I'll be able to zip down to California. Everything is getting in my way to delay me, and right about Black Friday or Christmas, the new laptops come out. I'm afraid to buy the ones that the only thing we can find right now is refurbished and open box because so much clearance happened. I cannot buy a laptop that's we can't even find one, and B, the ones that are open box, refurbished or whatnot have the faulty Intel chips inside for the most part. They've been doing too many clearances and too many recalls and whatnot to find one that we can use. I have Shasta County is just being really silent. Calfire SHU, but we're looking at the shoe fire. This is a day where I don't have time to stream, but it's important, so I can at least leave it on. Thank you, friends, for holding down the fort and spreading the yes, pats on the head, Grumpy Gamer Guy. Spinny just says here the tile display. That you're on it, Spinny, you're like a psychic. I was just going to say let's reset it up away from Clear Lake to an actual shoe fire tile. Thank you. Yeah, this you see why I'm concerned. Clear Lake, thank goodness, is looking much better. They have forward progress stopped on the Wightfire. And we have a broadcast fire. Thank you, SB. Thank you for being here. Just about to let you know about what may be going on. Shasta National Forest North. Okay. Let's see what else you got for links. Yep, that was the same one. Okay, that I managed to click on. Northern California major incident. Okay, yeah, it's just 6 listeners. I should add it to my dashboard feed, of course. Just let me know which ones are active because this is what. Oh, Siskiyou West. Yeah, that might work. But yeah, it's like 8 people. 8 people listening here and there. Nasty. This is nasty. So let's look at an Alert West that has. I'm just trying to move. Look at Caltopo's massive heat detection. There's Shasta Lake. So it's in this huge evacuation area. Is this entire thing right here? Not just what you can see lit up by heat, but this entire zone right here that I'm circling with my little hand, the big hand here, is under mandatory evacuation. It's mostly trails and recreational stuff, steep, rugged. I don't know which side of the lake the Pacific Crest Trail goes on, but if you know anybody hiking or recreating out there, try to reach them and let them know. I'm sure the giant smoke column gives them a clue, but just don't assume people know already. So looking back at the Clear Lake situation, way better. Way better. So duplicate this, do a couple of small time lapses, and I'll read you what's going on with the shoe as we struggle.
Mountain Gate Medical 13606 Corey View Road.
As we try to find an audio for it, like Siskiyou County Sheriff Fire. Ow. That's Reading Police Dispatch. I don't think we want that.
Station 41 Medical for 68 male general illness 13606 Corey View. Station 41 Medical for 68 male general illness 13606 Corey View Road, across Oakwood Road, 1700.
Okay. Oh. Let's look at aircraft. The aircraft are off the Wight, as far as I could tell. Whoops. Now we got a ton of aircraft over here by Shasta.
Rescue 41 responding.
Reading Airport. Yeah,
Rescue 41. Nomad currently assigned 1700.
this is usually my winner usually is.
Reading 241 responding.
Can't get a word in when they
241 responding 1701.
when I want them to talk, they don't say anything, but I can't get a word in when I want to say something. This is the way it is. I'm surprised there's not more cams on this. Maybe I just didn't zoom out enough. Oh, two of them are down. What's Colby Mountain looking at? Wait a second. Is this new? Colby, yeah, it's new. That's different. Colby Mountain. This is over by where the park fire was. What is that? What is that? Oh. Okay. Make sure I'm getting my notifications from Launch Duty. Sorry, I'm trying to coordinate with my family about A, how to get to California, B, how to make contact with our friends and loved ones down in the south as they are affected by the hurricane. So,
41 G4, code 2.
it's about as best we can do for now. Better than nothing. I hope you guys understand. But we've got something by Almanor here. The Colby Mountain Cam has just seen smoke. I just noticed that. That's just clicking around. What is that? Remember this with the park fire? Remember the park fire, friends? Look at this. There's something new. So let's look at where the Colby Mountain Cam number 1 is looking. It's looking to the west-southwest.
10-7.
It's not on watch duty yet. We'll have to keep an eye on that sucker. None of the other cams are particularly looking at it. I could really see it. Okay, all right. Got another one to look at that and monitor. Okay, let me look back at the chat. Excuse me, friends. Landfall's 20 minutes away. Yeah. Near Sarasota.
10-7.
It's on land. We'll look at that in a minute. Yes, I wanted to have a celebration thing. I think we met the goal, the first one. YouTube matches an additional $1,000 if you sign up for to be a member right now. Hit the join button. If not,
Reading 85 with 1700 hour dispatch level, Zone 1 West, Summer VI 41 high, Zone 2 Brush, VI 45 high, Zone 3 Valley Force, Break Planet 26, Mist Planet 41 high, Zone 4 East Summer VI 43 high, Zone 5 Ranches Plateau VI 40 high. Break.
they all talk on top of each other. Okay, I'm going to put the link to how you can join in the
Reading Silver Valley with the 1700 hour dispatch level, Zone 1 West, Summer VI 41 high, Zone 2 Brush, VI 45 high, Zone 3 Valley Force, Break Planet 26, Michigan Planet 41 high, Zone 4 East Summer VI 43 high, Zone 5 Ranches Plateau VI 40 high, and a 1700 hour dispatch level 1703, KBV 64.
Okay, I pinned a message. If you can't see a join button, it's $2, and YouTube is matching like 10 if you sign up for reoccurring payments. You know, like a subscription. If you want to just donate $2 a month to membership, YouTube takes 30%. That's why I couldn't make it $1, but just much obliged. And if you can't, the like button is the best way to help the stream. Just share it. Just hit the like button, share, tell your friends, family. Text our stream to anybody you think they need to know we exist and can benefit from our guidance. And we have real firefighters in the chat. We're moderators. We have them on speed dial, and we're here to help. So when we can't reach anybody, if people don't know we're around, so that is always the best free way to help. If you do want to join, but you've already donated in some other way, let me know, and we'll get you a gift sub sometime. Thank you so much, friends, for helping me meet the first goal. I do believe we are good on that. I have to check it again. But they will also match another 1,000. So, like, what if 100 people signed up? I think that's all we need for the $2 a month recurring payment thing. Set it and forget it. And every month that goes by, you get a cool new feather color.
For 1 Paul 45. 10-8, clear for dispo.
And once a month, you could put a special post that gets my attention. It's like a sticker.
Paul 45. No one's at the residence. Residence appears to be under construction. No one's there.
Okay, is that Siskiyou Sheriff and Fire West? Siskiyou County Sheriff and Fire West. I don't know why the bars aren't bouncing. Come on, Windows updated again today. So, the browser's been on the fritz. Okay.
Warren David 28, 10-7, good night.
28, 10-7.
Okay, I'm just trying to get the radio still going here. Oh, where we go? What did I do the map? Oh yeah, that's right. I was going to zoom out to see if we have even further away views. Now we do have a weird breaking news situation. It's not on watch duty yet, but over here, back where the park fire was, in the heart of where the park fire was, the Colby Mountain Cam has a smoke. So we'll see if that makes watch duty. Thank you, friends, for helping me hold down the fort. What a crazy day today. Broke Fishing says, on the way to town, thumbs up and shared. Thank you, Broke. This is not high quality stream day because I'm beset by trying to make phone calls as much as I can. I have a fuse I have to make before 7 to try to make the trip happen. I'm just
C41 and Rescue 41 are at scene.
see what I mean about where the park fire was. Now we got a big situation in Reading with this shoe fire getting towards the end of daylight today because it's cloudy. So they're slamming it with aircraft, and oh my god, the bunch grass lookout too. That is the same style of power line that failed during the campfire that burned down Paradise. Do you see these? No, not that one. Bunch fire lookout. Ow, my ears. That real similar, right, Spyman? Okay, that's a huge response that's following. I'll just mute that as best I can. God.
Fire, Skylight Fire, Edna Fire, Net Ambulance. No emergency of training at 1800. Edna Ambulance House. Check Troy.
What? Was it a training? What did he just say? Sorry, friends, that just blew my ears out. Okay. Did he say no emergency? This is a drill or something? I don't know what the heck just happened, but this style of ancient power line style that dates back to the turn of the last century, not the one that just happened. One of the arms failed and 2 lines touched, and that started the campfire in the Santa Ana Diablo winds. And wow, look at that eerie look to it. And we don't know what happened to cause the shoe or whatever happened down there, Clear Lake either. And I don't know what's on fire at Colby Mountain in Park Burns Car. So it's contained. It doesn't mean that it's out. The park fire, I'm sure, has plenty of hot spots in there deep in the interior. Contained means, hey, we don't think it can get out of its cage. That's what contained means. But the park fire is too large for humans to put out. I mean, most fires, beyond 100 acres square are anyway. Out in the scheme of things, like in the deep woods with the ouch, my ear. In rugged terrain. All right. My God, I hate tone outs. They should be banned. Why can't they make like xylophone tones or something?
Unknown ex-male. Laceration to the face. YPD at scene. East of Patriot gas station, 1258 South Main Street, near south of Lawrence and Bruce. Dark City, 73.
It's getting pretty dark. Okay, let me see. Do we have any new, better, especially air attack? Thank you, Spinny. And thank you, Jan, Hans, excuse me. So, glad to see you back, by the way. So I was trying to get a word in. It's like if you see a join button and you wanted to help the stream, the best way is YouTube will do another $1,000 match. It ends in a few days though, in October 15th or so. So if you can spare $2 right now and sign up as a member, YouTube is supposed to match me with 10. And I feel like a jerk. I would rather raise money for the hurricane right now, but I didn't know they were coming. So if you don't see a join button, like if you're on iPhone or iPad, then there's a link in the pinned comment at the top of the chat, and then that should take you to it. And you should be able to become a member. So for $2 set on recurring payments, I guess, then I get 10. And so far, it caps out at 1,000. So that'd be amazing if that could happen. But don't worry, guys. The like button is the free way to best help. And we will leave no one behind. If you have donated in the past, we'll find a way to get you a membership somehow if you want it. And remember, nothing ever behind a paywall or ever behind a blanket of ads. That's the promise here. If we could stay donation-based, we will. It's either ads or donations. We met the $9,000 subscriber goal. $9,000 subscribers goal. At 10,000, we can have a store, and we can also do charity for like events like Wildfires, where I can link an official charity with this is what I wanted to do for the hurricane, like yesterday, set up a stream where it's hurricane, please donate to the, all these agencies.
Anderson, Public Assist, 19964 Riverside Ave.
I was not able to do that because we don't have 10,000 subscribers. So if we could just do a drive for that, hitting the subscribe button, you can really help us help others. Can you imagine if we were able to do like, help such and such, the victims of such and such disaster or fire? I don't have any way to forecast hurricanes or track them. I don't know anything about hurricanes. But I can at least show you guys the incredible, excuse me, I have to turn the radio down in my ear, the incredible ham radio network of heroes that are going by. And they're still coordinating like with North Carolina, getting relief efforts and search and rescue still ongoing there. And people are still trapped in like the Carolinas and running out of time. But there's networks of ham radio operators who have just picked up the slack where the government has lacked, as a new saying, and just listening to them brings a tear to the eye about how well they're doing, helping people out there. Are you going to pull the trigger when you put a hurricane fund together? Well, I have to have 10,000 subs in order to, and nothing would go to me at all. It's just you guys would have a donate button to the official disaster. Nothing would ever go through me, because I can't take money for others. Otherwise, I just get tax penalized. It's like income. I don't have a way to do that. So I've always wanted to, and so it would be a up front and center donation button, and YouTube doesn't take a cut either. That would be the other advantage. But I have to have 10,000 subscribers for this just to be set up. So the best way to help us help others is quickly get to another 1,000 subscribers. Yeah, New Day, I hope you're doing okay. You're listening to tones, part of my job monitoring the radio. I'd hear the fire tones and listen to them. Yeah, New Day, do you know if there's an air attack radio for what goes on in Northern California? Because Northern California Major Incident is not there. Calfire SHU is not there. Northern Siskiyou County Fire EMS does not have it. Siskiyou County Fire Sheriff and Fire West does not have it. How's it going with just how active it is?
for public assist.
See, that's just public assist or medical calls. It's been screeching in my ear for the last couple minutes. But this looks just ominous. It's gotta be an air attack radio. Uday says I'd like to donate. There's no donate button on this laptop. Well, I don't have one. In order to get one, I need to have 10,000 subscribers. We have, how many? 9,115. So we got plus 170 in the last 28 days. I was hoping for more this year because we had an incredible amount of views. If I go to my statistics, we had like more than 80,000 views in the last, or 84,000 views in the last 28 days. But only 170 people subscribed. It's just, what can you say? Only about 10% of viewers ever do. Ever hit the like button and fewer subscribe. Okay, so let's go to the Burn tab. I wish I could do this triumphant party thing. Like we met that goal. I think we did, guys. We're $8 over our $1,000 goal. I'm not festive right now. I'm worried sick for my relatives, and I'm taking phone calls constantly from them. So I'm sorry about this. But this is ominous. I'd like to hear air attack, so I'm going to try to find out behind the scenes. How to get air attack here. You're close. I hit the like button. Thank you, dear. If you guys do know of a charity, I'm sure we could pass the link around in chat, but I'm saying that I can't have an official donate button that goes through YouTube. And YouTube promotes donation charity streams. So we would reach a lot of people theoretically if we had that status. I could put stream status donation for hurricane or fire victims or whoever. Rally button, I don't know what that is. So, yeah, a new day, there's a button to become a member, but you already are one. A link that's there in the pinned message of the chat if you guys don't see a join my stream button. So we're looking at this shoe fire. And yesterday, like you weren't kidding, Spy Man, Oregon went nuts. Well, for 24 hours. We still don't have the Colby Mountain smoke on watch duty yet. But then again, watch duty just doesn't have all fires. And even the 1,000 acre one in Fresno the other night. So we have no new updates here on Shasta. Maybe they can't hear air attack either. Otherwise, I'm sure Michael Sylvester, who's a good watch duty reporter, would have that. Brookfish says Ryan Hall is running a Y'all Squad, nonprofit organization. Donate here. Thanks, bro. Yeah, let's keep circulating that, copying and pasting that. It sure would be convenient though to have 10,000 subscribers. We would survive financially much better. We unlock things like having donation streams straight to the victims, bypassing YouTube, bypassing me, just boom. To almost any 401k registered, or 401c, or 501c, excuse me, registered charity. So yeah, Brokefish just put it in the link in the chat if you want to see it. That's legit. He's a real. He does for tornadoes. Ryan Holliall does for tornadoes what I do for fire, right? What we do. So I'm frustrated by the lack of any update. We could go look at the Twitter.
I'm 10-6 Montague Community Hall.
Oh God. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry, I did not mean to show fire devastation. That's the. Oh my God, you know what the anniversary is of today? You know why I'm sad subconsciously? Today's the anniversary of Santa Rosa burning down and Bangor and Loma Rica, and that's the night that my family friend died. Remember, we are in Santa Ana Diablo wind season, friends. Because they're not blowing right now, but they can at any moment. So any fires in the Sierras or anywhere else that are still going when Santa Ana's and Diablos hit. God help us. Now the fire crews know about this. They will try a knockout punch for each one of these new fires. If they're allowed to get big and if it takes a long time to work on them before containment, that's massively dangerous. Wow, yeah, there's Shoe Fire. One of the pictures. I'm going to retweet that. Remember, I retweet things on Twitter that do show homes and such burning down. I don't show it on the stream. So it's a sanctuary here for those who are fire traumatized and don't want to see that. Not even from the past. We have a critical rate of spread. That was earlier today. Where the heck was that then? Barham Fire. Yeah, that was further. Yeah, that's done. Okay, that one was done. Okay, so let's go to the Shoe Fire. We're trying to get information about in Shasta County. Hey, I'm going to share this from Zeke Lunder. He's always good. Learned a lot from him. Oh, we should make a name for ourselves, like the 5 people who informed everybody about the Dixie back in 2021. We were like the Big 5. So he's saying his comment here on the Shoe Fire, his expert comment, is that the Shoe Fire is burning in timber on Fender's Ferry Road, and that's pretty thick, heavy trees there. Fender's Ferry Road between McLeod River and the Pitt River, north and northeast of Lake Shasta. It has been building steadily for an hour with an area with very little fire history, poor access, and heavy fuels. Okay, this is tremendously bad then. I was really hoping that we'd have something in our favor, but we don't particularly. So I just retweeted that. I'll retweet Dave Tissate, also very good. Got different multiple views on this tweet. And, the 8 my cam. Holy. Let's see how bad this is. See how bad this is. If you're not looking at the screen, goodness. You know. So New Day says the Northwest is a more still cycle thing, May through October. California's always had a year-round fire season. It was just a mistake that people just sort of said it was summer. It's always been year-round. Remember how it's because California's a long, skinny state, so it goes through multiple latitudes, like major latitude lines. So the climate is so different in Southern California that there is a year-round risk of fires in Southern California always. And some of their winter fires are the worst because of Santa Ana wind season. It's just that Northern California, for the most part, does not have a winter fire season. And so is there a spring fire season? Yes. Because of the cold, fast-blowing winds. And that's when the grass is starting to grow. So you can have it, and we saw that last year in January, it can be quite moist and cold, and pretty humid at night. But when, say, Bay breeze winds hit the area, we saw Napa that was on fire last January, the Napa area, and it raced right over a hill and tried to eat neighborhoods. So there's a wind-driven, fast-moving, kind of like grass kind of fire season for California. California's, but it's always been a myth. It's always had this vulnerability because Santa Ana wind season and Diablo wind season is geographical. It's not climate change based. It's just geography of California. Every October through January, the jet stream changes. So it will sometimes go vertically and just push a lot of air out of Canada, stick it in Nevada. Nevada's air gets blown over to California, and it roller coasters up and down the mountains, races down into the valleys, and there's so much air pressure, the speed picks up, and it can only exit to the ocean near San Francisco Bay by Mount Diablo and by Santa Ana Pass, in the river and the town in the south. So when these winds are blowing, they're usually simultaneous. Not always, but it's hot, dry desert winds being pushed out of the desert for more than 24 hours at, tornadic and hurricane force speed. So it doesn't matter if it's even rain days before. That kind of weather will just dry things out, dry as a bone in an hour. So everybody lives in fear of these fires. For the most part, those winds, excuse me.
Hurricane 80, Wairika unit in position 23152. State Route 3 from Howell. It turned left at Dottie's, continuing on State Route 3. It's a large white Dodge Ram King Cab truck pulling a trailer and is all over the roadway. Repeating 23152. State Route 3 just left Howell Avenue, turned left at Dottie's, continuing on State Route 3 out towards Callahan. White pickup, a Dodge Ram King Cab, all over the roadway pulling a trailer. Wairika clear, KGT 444 at 1728 hours.
I hope that person is not having a medical emergency. This is a 15-minute time lapse.
3 copies, thank you.
Now, north winds are very similar to the Diablos and whatnot, and Shasta County particularly fears them because they come out of Oregon's desert just to the north. So if you ever hear the words north wind, as well as Diablo and Santa Ana, norths are a bit terrifying. Grumpy, you're so kind. This use.
41 units available, 1727.
I'm going to mute that. It's mostly medical real quick. I can't really find an air attack, which aircraft would be the best way to track this. This is a bit frustrating. But judging from the lack of watch duty updates, they can't hear anything either. So, New Day says, well, I did a long time in Oregon. The FMO would say, going to be a bad fire season. It was wet, lots of grass grew. We knew it, yeah. When it cured, the fires would break out. Yeah. So the California's fires are particularly bad this year, and most of the bad ones have been arson. Can't believe it. And so what is the danger here to the whole Shasta area? Okay, sorry, I'm still listening to the radio. Shasta itself, like the lake and the communities nearby, when the wind blows out of the north, it's not right now, but when it does, this could try to go over towards the lake and try to eat towns, So high pressure offshore. Let's see, is it today's date? 5 p.m. All right, they've got a license plate on that trailer, and they're tracking down the reckless driving pickup. Because I'm sure if somebody's all over the place on the road, they could be dragging chains too, or being foolish. Right now, we've got wind. See, that's temperature 82-ish around where the Shasta fire is. That's higher elevation. Down the valley, it's 89. Let's go and look at the wind. Constant wind speed. And we'll look at that fire globe. See how the winds from different directions are kind of meeting at Redding, but it's mostly wind out of the southeast. But what happens when it comes out of the northeast and it tries to go back towards over the lake? If there are very strong north winds, the lake is no barrier. So the thing is like, how big is it going to get? If the warrant widens out, like with my hands here, warrant widens out, the bigger the wall of flames would be, and then sweeping towards Lake Shasta and or civilization. To have that on a Diablo wind day would just be absolutely any kind of a fierce wind day later. So California's most vulnerable critical time to big town erasing fires, like today's the anniversary of so many of the North Bay fires and the Cascade. Okay, this malfunctioned. The Cascade that killed my friend in Yuba County / Butte County. This is the anniversary, but 2017. That was when Diablo winds are blowing. So we're into the season. We must remember that October has had plenty of horrific fires, including the open firestorm. November 8th was the Calfire, and that's what caused the power line to fail, was a hurricane force wind gusts on power lines that haven't been maintained for 100 years, basically. So the thing about these high wind events is you light a match in front of them and the match goes out. It's actually difficult for a fire to get established that's in high wind. However, when it's already established and big, that's another story. With power lines down, that's a different story. So when we're counting the days in Northern California till the wet season comes, Southern California will be a little bit more safe with the wet season, but you guys can have like 85-degree days in winter, so it can dry out again in a week, and then you're vulnerable again to Santa Ana. So this is our gusts. It's not that gusty. It could be worse, 11 or so. But mind you, this is guesswork because there's not that many weather stations out in the middle of nowhere. So it's saying gusts are only about 11 miles an hour. The constant wind speed is about 2 miles below it, but go ahead and add 5 or whatever because of ridge tops, 5 or 10. And occasionally one is very different than the others. This is an average, right? So you were there at Alameda. Yeah, New Day, thank you for your service, of course. We appreciate that. Hey, Jumper, yes, I was just about to say, A, we can't hear anything about this shoe fire. There's something going on in the middle of the park fire, but hopefully that's an okay situation. Are you okay for a call, JB? I was just about to reach out. So we're watching a little smoke in the middle of the park fire area, which it happens. The park fire is not out, it's contained. So, but this situation, I see a couple roads, but access is poor, terrain is rugged, fire history is low, fire load is high, and we're in the worst of the wind season, and it's not the wet season yet. Tom says, I predict there will always be more and bigger fires. That's where I would hope that you would entertain my counter argument, because I try to spread hope. A lot of these only get this bad because we have a shortage of manpower, personnel, and pilots especially, and especially the nighttime pilots. Practical reasons. We could definitely have a lively debate about that. The climate's just one factor, but the other 37 reasons, like the reason the park got bad was the cheatgrass, which is like a gasoline grass or whatever we should call that. It's growing in Butte County, and every time they have a fire, more of the native plants are killed. That's what cheatgrass tries to do. It tries to be so intense in a fire that it eliminates the seeds of its rivals. And cheatgrass grows back from the roots. And what you have after every fire where cheatgrass is your fire is worse, because it's more cheatgrass instead of the native plants that don't promote fire like that. Let's see if JB is ready for a call. I hope he is. His expert guidance will be the best thing we can get about Shasta County here. I do need to switch drinks real quick. So the thing is like, yeah, that's going to be a true prediction for where cheatgrass is. It's taking over many big parts of California. And that's a practical thing that we can solve, and we can just burn it off ahead of time, recognizing it for the danger it is. You know, in the pre-fire season, the one that's less likely to go insane, still somewhat wet part of spring, like in early May. Or they can grit it, or they can graze it, or have a warm leaf, which would be mine. That would be my choice. Pay people to get rid of it. Stimulate the economy. Make ourselves more fire safe, but just pre-made dozer lines with a bunch of grids would have stopped the fire at the park fire from spreading as fast as it did. And well, closing the freaking gates on the levee would have stopped a car from being up on the levee and being pushed down it. Butte County. In my childhood, they were smart enough to do that. But here we are. Why burn off the grass on the levees? Well, it's very flammable. It's cheatgrass. And cars tend to break down on the top of the levee and catch fire because they hit rocks and stuff in the undercarriage. Do a 5 to 10 super time lapse. Oh, on the tile? Sure, will do. Let's see if it can handle it. Sometimes it can't. But with only 4 views, it should be able to. Okay, here's our 10-minute. Engine 1041 release.
51 ready copy, 1736.
Gore incident. I don't know what that was. Yeah, this is getting worse by the moment. Let's check in with GB. Okay. JB is back in town. I don't know how you guys love him. Now, friends, put questions for retired Fire Captain John Bruno in the chat about any fire, any question, anything appropriate. Hey, Marcia. Hey, JB, you're live and on the air. How is it? How are you? Sorry?
Copy 1185.
Oh, you're a little bit tinny. Are you there? Okay, we're having trouble connecting. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Okay, I've turned off the radio. We've got an amazing 10-minute time lapse. This thing's blowing up, isn't it?
Okay, yeah, we got a fire going up here in the Shasta T National Forest outside of Big Bend, California.
Okay. And you're very familiar with this area, I take it?
Not intimately because it is on the federal responsibility area, but
okay.
Slightly familiar with it. There's a lot of black oak in there, and there's a lot of potential. But at the same time, if you look at the weather, it's probably starting yesterday, last night. The weather really started to cooperate here. We've got much cooler temperatures, no wind, and the humidities are going to go up pretty good. So if the feds hit it hard tonight, they ought to be able to make some good progress.
Okay. That's really good news. It's making very strange colors right now. Is it just the sunset for the most part and aerosol pollution
Probably,
from other fires? Huh?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Yeah, your radio is bleeding into the feed a lot.
Okay, I'll lower this down here.
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Are you able to hear air attack or anything? We're just hearing mostly law enforcement and medical.
I haven't been monitoring the air traffic, no.
Okay, if you find a channel, let us know because we have almost no updates and watch duty the same. I wonder if they just don't have a channel available in Broadcastify, but we see lots and lots of aircraft. So
let's go over here to your Wildfire intel, and
okay.
they might have a link there.
Okay.
It's called the Washoe incident. It's on the Shasta Trinity National Forest, so it is a federal U.S. Forest Service incident.
Okay.
And along with everything else, they got a lot of activity going up in the Pacific Northwest and the Great Basin area. They got a lot of fires burning up in Idaho.
Yeah.
And so they're going to have to order big. We had a fire in there years ago in 2012 called the Bagley Fire.
Bagley?
And we had a fire called the Bagley, yeah, and we had one called the Hertz Fire back in 2018. The Lookout, I think he posted some of those.
Okay.
So there were some access problems initially.
Okay.
Had some real access problems. I don't know who the incident commander is. I just know it's a federal incident. It's on the Shasta Lake District of the Shasta Trinity National Forest.
Okay.
Just a little bit to the south and a little bit and west of a place called the Madrone Campground.
Okay.
And so it's really steep in there, really steep country. Okay. So hopefully they've got lots of crews coming. I think the initial order for 8 crews, but I would probably, I would double that.
Yeah, you know, we've had. Sorry.
Because the access to the fire is difficult, so they're going to need a lot of handwork done. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Off the Fenders Ferry Road. On both sides of the Fenders Ferry Road, which is a road that's pretty dominant in there, but it's on both sides, up and down the canyon there.
Okay, excuse me. I was
Start to spot a little bit to the north.
sorry, I had you away from the microphone. So it's out down in that canyon, and you said that it was south and west of the Madrone campground. That's a huge evacuation zone because, I mean, I think
but
it's
there's nothing out there. That's all national forest.
Yeah, it's for the
There
hikers.
might be some isolated shacks and cabins out there, maybe, but
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people doing recreation and gold prospecting and the like, and fishing and yeah.
My neighbor asked what could cause it, and I said, well, there's a lot of people in the wildlands today. A lot of people are hunting, you know.
Yeah.
And could have been a vehicle-related incident. I'm kind of thinking right off the Fenders Ferry Road, was it a vehicle fire or an ATV fire, or was it a hot set? You know, we just don't know.
Yes, and that's south of Clear Lake. There's another one today, but at Clear Lake, it looks like what occurred with the Glenhaven was arson. They made an arrest the same day. I'm willing to bet he was perhaps involved in other things like the boil, and at least Clear Lake can breathe a little bit easier if that is indeed the right person arrested.
Well, another thing too, you know, on that Clear Lake incident, you know. Right now, the way it is, I was out biking earlier today, so it's extremely dry. The air's dry.
Okay.
We're getting shorter days, cooler temperatures here this part of this week. It's going to actually get really cool toward Friday and Saturday, at least in the upper Sacramento Valley here.
Okay.
But you know, we're just going along and lulling around, and we're setting ourselves up for potential here, because until we get, you know, measurable rain, we don't have anything that's really changing the fuel moisture.
Right.
Now the air might get a little moister, and the temp will get lower, and the winds are just diurnal, just kind of natural local winds, so 5 to 10 here and there.
Right.
But what happens now normally is, as we start getting into our fall weather patterns, we'll get north winds in Northern California, Diablo winds in the Bay Area, and Santa Ana's normally show up here any time now in Southern California. I just talked to a chief, retired chief today in Southern California, and he said everything's set up for major disaster weather if we get Santa Ana's, because their fuels are dry too. They've had a heat wave here just recently, another heat wave here about, a week or so ago.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the calm for the potential storm.
Yeah, so this is what I'm worried about is, you know, the peak terrified me because it was up there in the Sierras, and it started to grow. And if we had gotten in the next several days, you know, strong east winds or Diablos, it could have gone right straight to down the valleys and, you know, make a run. So it's always, you know, you don't want anything in the Sierras that can make the run for the valleys. You don't want anything in the Shasta area, because you don't even need Diablos. You could just get a strong north wind event, or are they seasonal?
Well, like right now, this fire here, I think they're calling it the
Shoe. Yeah.
Yeah, it starts with an S. I forget.
The Shoe. Yeah.
Yeah, the Shoe, because I think it's a particle of one word of a mountain somewhere near the area. Anyway, the Shoe incident here, it's about 300 plus acres now.
Yes. So
if they get with the program and they didn't get. I heard that on watch duty they ordered some night flying copters, which there aren't many of those around.
Yeah. They really turn the tide, though, don't they?
They can turn the tide, but I'm an old helitack guy, and my concern is that's a lot of PG&E country in there. Okay. And there's lots of cables that run in between canyons there that are identified with these big orange balls, so that when you see them during the day, you don't run into them with a helicopter. So you got to know your P's and Q's. You better know your lay of the land there, and you better know what your hazards are. Can be very dangerous for helicopters at night. That's all I can say.
Okay.
And at the same time, there's no structural threat and there's no life safety issue. So,
Okay.
you know, I was kind of surprised to see that, but at the same time, you know, me being out of the link now, being retired, I don't know what protocols they're following. But is it SHF incident? That means the Shasta Tree National Forest. It's on their forest, and they're the incident commanders.
SHF, Shasta Trinity, yeah,
National Forest, yeah, SHF. That's the
Okay, we'll go look at
identifier
their,
for the agency.
yeah, we'll go look at their Facebook page and stuff. So yes, Kelsey Ramos, welcome. If you have a question for a retired fire captain of Shasta County, John Bruno, just put it right here. This is what we're trying to update right now, is everything we know about the shoe, because it's so hard to listen to the radio about it. So, I mean, we're so blessed to have you, and everybody loves you, JB. So, thank you.
Well, you know, I saw this today when I was out biking, and believe it or not, I wasn't monitoring, and I saw it.
Oh, goodness.
I thought at first, well, maybe they're doing a control burn. And then all of a sudden, my retired buddy started calling me and saying, hey, he said the feds popped something good up off Fender's Ferry, so we'll go in there. We go in there under assistance. We have an agreement with the feds, so we do have some Calfire resources in there. There's a battalion chief and several engines and probably a few crews, but there's a lot of activity going on right now.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's a good thing because the drawdown isn't a problem.
Right.
But if you look, hey, what's really unique, I kind of looked at this earlier here, Catherine. The National SIT report, okay, the National SIT report.
Yes.
So this morning, they went all the way up to DEFCON 5, which I call National Preparedness Level 5, which is their maximum level of heightened activity. They have 29 uncontained fires, not including this one, but they've got almost 12,000 troops out on the line nationally. Now, some of those, not a lot, several hundred of those are assisting with the hurricane logistical issue, but there's a lot of fires still going, and this has kicked up quite a bit in the last 48 hours.
Yeah,
so nationally, that nationally they're drawn down with a lot of resources. So, but fortunately in California, we don't have a lot of active wildland fires going as we speak.
Yeah, we got so lucky that even though it was hot last week, all the way going back to the first, actually, we got so lucky that the winds weren't like 10 miles an hour stronger, or we might have lost control on the Peak, the Dutch, the Glen Haven, the Line. That was incredibly lucky, and our heroes did amazing jobs. They had to actually risk their lives at Clear Lake, getting right up to the flames. But they did it.
Yeah, there's a Calfire 2-engine and 1 dozer and a battalion chief right there in Clear Lake Oaks, and they have a lot of local fire districts in that area. And then they have a camp not too far too. So there's a lot of resources in there if they're available in quarters and available. They're not drawn down and they're not out of quarters. So there's a lot of resources available. In the last 2 weeks, a lot of people have made it home from these other fires, and so they're rested up now, and there's some good potential for getting resources now. Well, you just got to order it.
Yeah, and Jose Gutierrez, who was checking in with us, he was working the line. Of course, he couldn't say much about it, just whether or not it was going great or not. He did tell us it was improving. He doesn't have any rest. He got shipped immediately out to the fire in either Idaho or Wyoming. Not the Logan, but when we were tracking, they got gigantic. So
they got a huge fire.
Yeah. Do you know which one it is?
I don't recall the name, but they had one that took off that really ripped. I think it did like 10,000 acres in one day, up in some BLM land up there. But yeah. So the thing is, nobody's gotten rain up there. See.
Right.
So you can look at the weather pattern, get the big picture, and even though you might have, like I said, here in Redding, California today, we've got like 90 degrees, 92 degrees, where 48 hours ago it was 102, 104. So it's cooled off, and that's to the advantage on this fire. If they get it hard and heavy tonight, and they take advantage, of the weather that they're going to get in there tonight, and hit it hard tonight, because their relative humidity is going to be up there in the almost 70% by 7 in the morning. So that's a good thing. That's a very good thing.
Okay.
And virtually no wind. And I think the high tomorrow at 4 o'clock is going to be around 80, and the humidity is going to be only 26%. Now, that's still low. That's very low, but, it's going to be 70% at 7 in the morning, and it's going to be, it's going to be a good time to hit it hard and heavy. They can tonight, but oftentimes, I'll be honest with you, that doesn't happen on these Fed incidents for some reason.
Yeah, funny how that is.
They don't get aggressive enough, yeah.
Or they don't get approved or whatever the problem is. So, yeah, we have some worried people in chat who have some property semi-close to here. So if they do hit it and slam it tonight, like you say the best case scenario, like middle ground scenario and worst case scenario, and who would be threatened next, and what could we expect in best case, worst case
scenario? There are there's isolated cabins.
Okay.
And but most of that is there's some Sierra Pacific timber in there, and then of course National Forest timber, but they've got their private timber in there too. So I would say that with the southwest wind, it's just going to keep going. There's a lot of if it continues to take off and do its thing, it's just going to get into more timber and destroy more timber. There's no really. It's right in the heart of the Shasta Lake district of the Shasta Trinity National Forest, and in private timberland. So there's no rural residential community around this fire.
Now, say the Diablo winds picked up a week from now, or north winds or whatever that would threaten. Do you think it could go towards the lake and jump it? That's what.
That's a very low probability.
Okay.
It's quite a ways from Shasta Lake.
Yeah,
there's a reservoir called Iron Canyon Reservoir, and there's also a unique place. There is one unique place not too far from here, probably the biggest structural threat, but it's a place called Windtune. If you look on your map and go north, it's right there off the McLeod River.
Okay.
North of McLeod Lake, a little place called Windtune, W-I-N-T-O-O-N, Windtune.
Oh, O-O-N. Oh, that's adorable spelling.
W-Y-N,
okay.
W-Y-N.
All right.
Okay, so that is owned by the newspaper mogul, what's his name, Hearst.
Hearst, okay.
That's the Hearst mansion. There's a huge castle there and other structures, and that's a private estate owned by the Hearst. That's the Hearst estate that runs that, and there's a bunch of buildings in there. But there's no direct threat now. That's a ways away. So other than that, we just got a bona fide timber fire. That's what we have.
Okay. Yeah, it says Windtune, and I can't really see anything on the satellite too much, but yeah, I vaguely heard of that. Now that you mention it.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe this is a castle. I don't know.
It's a castle, actually a castle, and all kinds of additional buildings in there, and it's quite a facility. It's privately owned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you got to know people to get invited to that party, huh?
Yeah, you don't. It's all private and everything, and they have full-time caretakers there. I remember there were several fires in years past in my career where that was at a threat, and they had to bring strike teams in there and protect it and all. But other than that, this area has some other burns not too far away from it and all. But there's a lot of ponderosa pine, digger pine, black oak, brush, manzanita, ceanothus, and then grass in between. There's all kinds of potential, and it's ugly country. So that means there's some places you can use dozers, but most of it's going to be a hand crew event.
Just want to clarify, that's digger pine with a D, everybody. And I hope that closed captioning.
Gray pine. Gray pine is the official term, G-R-E-Y, gray pine, which is pretty native to the Shasta area. But normally there, at the higher elevations, it's ponderosa pine and black. There's a lot of black oak in there. My colleagues have said there's a lot of black oak in there.
Okay.
Which, once it starts burning, that stuff burns pretty hot, especially if there's any dead stuff in there.
Yeah. If it has a chink in the armor or like a knot hole or it's hollow, yeah. At least they're not tall trees and they don't evercast, kind of like a mega one, like a big pine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
this thing burned pretty good. It burned pretty good. And some of it, right about the first hour to it, there was a little bit of white capping that occurred. But there was a good southwest flow on it.
Right.
And
well, let me ask you about the weather.
It doesn't look like it's really spreading at a rapid rate. It's spreading, but not at a rapid rate.
Oh yeah, it could be way worse. It's a vertical column for the most part. Yeah, so let me ask you about the weather. I haven't been able to check it next couple of days. Is it mostly going to be southwest winds pushing it away and away and away from, the lake area, Shasta?
Yeah, I think the weather for Big Bend, which is the nearest area, it's going to be, tomorrow afternoon will be same as today, probably 3 to 5 or 3 to 6 mile an hour southwest wind. So there's no ugly winds. If this thing spreads, it's going to be fuel and slope driven.
Fuel and slope.
But they're going to get really good humidity recovery at night. So it's going to go up to, like I told you, 70% by 7 a.m. with no wind and as cool as 53 degrees up there.
Okay.
So that's good because if you get a lot of crews in there and you can get them in place and they can cut a lot of line. And stay, if they're staying cool while they're working, they can cut a heck of a lot line in 53 degrees than 106 degrees like it was here a few weeks ago for some of these folks.
Goodness gracious,
and then, like I said, they ordered night dropping helicopters or night vision copters, and I don't know where they're going to get those here in Northern California. There's some on a federal level. I don't know where they're going to get them from, so. I know, you have the quick response force in Southern California, and some of the Calfire copters are night qualified, but, you have to be really careful in that country there. So
I just don't know how the contract system works. It was one of the most depressing things I ever heard of where, like it's almost like going to the emergency room with your broken arm and you're bleeding, and they go, so you have insurance, right? Let's just take care of that first. You're like, come on, like treat the wound first. Contracts later, but I don't know how this all works, but I hope they can either get Colson.
You mean with aircraft? With the aircraft contracts?
Yeah, with the different agencies.
Yeah, well,
it's
a very expensive portion of fire suppression. And so what happens is the private companies all have to be checked.
Okay.
They have to be all the aircraft have to be inspected. And normally the pilots have to be all properly carded previous to the fire season. And then when they pass the standards of the request of the agencies, and they put those guys on some kind of contract. And so for the feds, the Forest Service, they have what they call exclusive use contracts where they want a contract with a helicopter of a certain size from this date to this date, and they'll pay this rate. And they award that contract to the company that meets that standard. Calfire has their own copters. They're agency-owned and agency staffed. In addition to that, they have contract or exclusive use contracts with helicopters, the big ones, what we call helitenders. Okay. This year, I think there's five in Calfire's arsenal this year.
Okay.
Which they never used to do when I was on the job. We did it, but we did it when we broke a fire. Now they have them for immediate initial attack response, which is really good.
Yeah. So what I sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to put a comment on that. A lot of people became angry, and I did at first too when Calfire was putting tweets out. Bragging about exclusive use of this and that and that. And so what it sounded like to everybody else was like only California can have these helicopters. And if Oregon was on fire, too bad, so sad. Or Nevada. And so I asked them, like, what does this exactly mean, exclusive use? And they're like, oh, we can send it to help others like that, of course. It's just that it can't be peeled away to like other states without us helping.
It's kind of a weird term. It's a weird term, but it's basically when there's an exclusive use, that means the helicopter is exclusively contracted for a designated period of time at a designated location for use by the agency. So the feds, for example, like at Trinity Camp, which is up here by Trinity Lake in Trinity County, there is a Forest Service helitack crew attached to a helicopter. The helicopter is not owned by the United States Forest Service. It's owned by a private company. Let's say it's owned by Colson, or it's owned by PJ Helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
So the government issues a contract with that company to have that helicopter with its crew and with its mechanics and whatever else it needs every day available at that location and used, and to be for immediate response. Okay, kind of like rent a copter. And then the crew and the captain, they ride. The crew and the captain ride in the back seat. The pilot's a civilian. The pilot is not an agency person, and that's why you'll see on the side of the helicopter they might have their, like for example, they used to have this Sikorsky 58T up there in Trinity, and the company that they contracted with was called Construction Helicopters. So on the side of the helicopter was a big white helicopter with black lettering. It said construction on it. And I remember this is when I was on a job back, 15 years ago. You saw this copter flying into the valley floor, and it said construction. What was a helicopter? A fire helicopter. It was an exclusive use contract. So they'll have their company names on the side.
Yeah. Whereas
Calfire, Ventura County, San Diego, Orange County, LA County, they have their own agency helicopter, agency owned, agency decaled, agency specific.
Yeah.
But the helicopters, what they do is the helicopters in the state all work together, and they all have designated response areas, which they call zones of influence. And basically, it's just, this is your response area for this helicopter. This is the response. This is the closest helicopter to this fire. So they send the closest resources, whether it's a Fed exclusive use contract or a Calfire helicopter or LA County.
Send the closest resource to the zone. And so the whole exclusivity thing was so confusing. It sounded like the Calfire only for Calfire. And
it's a bad word.
Yeah, I went and asked them what they meant on the Twitter. I said, what does exclusive mean? They said, it just means that like a private contractor, like a helicopter company, can't wander off to Montana or anything else. In the meantime, that they're on call only for fires in the West, and they can't go do something else.
Right. So if I have an exclusive use contract with, ABC Helicopter Company, they're not going to say, hey, in a week we got to go put air conditioners on a high-rise building in San Francisco. No, you're under contract to be here every day from this date to this date for immediate response. That's the contract. They're exclusive to our use. So that's why they use that term. Yeah.
Right. So otherwise, the hurricanes and other disasters could have peeled away, but they're contracted. They're going to stay here on the fire. So it's reassuring.
No, they can't.
Yeah.
They can't go. Yeah, they can't. And most of these helicopters, okay, so a lot of them are what they call non-restricted. And that means they can haul passengers. But a lot of the big water dropping helicopters that you see, the big Chinooks, the 2 egg beater helicopters, and the big bug-looking Sikorsky S-64, the big orange thing. Those are non-restricted. That means nobody can ride in those except the company people that pilot them, and they drop water. That's all they do.
Okay.
Pellet-tankers, they call them, pellet-tankers.
All right, JB Slang 101. An egg beater is a Chinook, friends. Big ugly is
an egg beater looking helicopter.
Yeah, a big ugly is a Sikorsky. I call the K-Max the mosquito, but
yeah, he does. He looks like a praying mantis.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know what? There's a little bit of
all the helicopters. All the helicopters are going to be used like right now in Florida for the floods. Those are going to be search and rescue agencies, law enforcement, Coast Guard, because it's right on the coast. If a fire department has helicopters, they'll be doing roof rescues, physical rescues. We do them in Calfire every winter. Any winter that we have a serious flood where people are trapped on the roofs. Now, more than ever, these new helicopters have hoists on them, which we didn't have in the past. So, but most of the helicopters are going to be used for search and rescue in the next 48 hours are going to be Coast Guard, law enforcement, and fire agencies. But there's not a lot of fire agencies that have helicopters like we do in California. Like LA County has about 8 helicopters. Calfire's got 10 or 12. Orange has got 1. San Diego has 1. We have agency helicopters, but they're used for fires and emergency transport. Like LA City uses their helicopters for EMS transport, just like an ambulance. They call them an air ambulance with a medic on board and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw some point of view video, like helmet cam, over the Davis fire over in Washoe County by Reno. And the pilot just did his flight and looked straight ahead for the most part, is what I was thinking. And then the guy in the seat, that would have been the machine gunner, waist gunner seat, he had where the hoist would go. We saw him lean over and look down, and he directed when to drop the bucket, when to drop the water. He was just like, wait, go.
Yeah, was it a military helicopter?
I think it was a Firehawk or a Blackhawk, yes.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I used to do. I used to ride with him inside that copter.
Oh, really?
And here's what that guy's doing.
Okay.
What that guy does is he looks out the window. The pilot is flying the ship, and they're on an intercom, and he tells the pilot, okay, another 10 feet, another 5 feet, bucket's in the water, lower the bucket, and the pilot's not even looking. He's operating the controls, the cyclic and the throttle and the collective. Those are 2 sticks that he uses, and he's piloting that thing. And he'll say, "Okay, bucket's full. Okay, lift up on the bucket," and he lifts the helicopter straight up. Okay, bucket is full. Okay, you're clear, and then he pulls up and out. So the crew chief looks out the window and physically sees the bucket in the water, and as it fills up, if it's got a bucket now, of course, if it's got a drafting system, which they don't have on the Chinooks or the Blackhawks, they can look with a mirror down there and see that thing go in the water, and they can look at a gauge on their dash and tell when their tank's full. But and then when they get to the fire, the guy that punches off the switch to release the water is not the pilots. It's the crew chief. And he looks down a hole. It's about a 4x4 hole in the bottom of the helicopter. And he actually lays on a twin mattress that's wrapped with a vinyl cover. He lays on this twin mattress on his belly and his chest, and his head looking down into, and when he comes to the spot where he wants to hit it, he punches off the switch and releases the water from the bucket. He does it, the crew chief in the back, yeah.
I was inside of a Catalina flying boat. I was privileged at the air show, one of those near Portland this summer. And so there was, they said, guess where the hidden seat is in the plane, when we were walking through it. And we're like, huh? And he goes, actually under our feet, and it was underneath the pilot's rudder. Somebody can crawl under there on their belly, and there's a window to direct, to look for, back in the day in World War II, it was to look for submarines down there. But then Catalina flying boats got turned into water droppers. So there was still always somebody in their belly guiding the drops. I had no idea.
Yeah. In some helicopters, you'll see a big glass, it looks like a glass bubble off the driver's side or the pilot's side of the ship. And that's so he can stick his head out and look, when he's by himself. Yeah. The military ships have 2 crew chiefs in a Chinook and 1 on a Blackhawk,
Okay, yeah, I got the footage going up. I don't know if you could see it of what they did at Washoe. And it's just in between.
Yeah, right. He's sitting right down. Now, he's hooked up. He's not just sitting there. I mean, he's secure, trust me.
Oh, yeah.
And he's directing. He's directing and punching off the bucket. Now, I don't know. The Blackhawk, I think the Blackhawk is controlled by the pilot, so he tells the pilot when to punch it off. And what they do is they try to, because that thing spins like a pendulum, and so they have to be real careful on how they line it up and get it to where they put the wet stuff on the red stuff, and they've got wind and speed and all these things to factor in, It's very hard when a helicopter tries to hover. It puts a really lot of torque on everything, so they try to move forward,
Right.
And I used to tell all my guys on the ground, listen, when the National Guard shows up, you got to remember in California, the National Guard, some people are full-time and then some people are weekend warriors, they're reserves. Give them a day, the first day on the fire, give them a day to really practice, and by day 2, they're a lot more accurate because they just don't do it every day like these other pilots do,
Yeah, we've got a couple of comments Yeah, thank you for being here, Eric. Please, if you guys have any questions, last call for retired Fire Captain John Bruno. We're so privileged to have you and your wisdom here. JB, what a depressing day. This is the anniversary of my friend dying in the Cascade Fire. The North Bay fires broke out, around midnight or whatever,
Oh,
the
yeah,
8th
that
and 9th.
2017. Is that 2017?
Tubbs, Santa Rosa, like mostly power lines down for like 15 different fires the same night, burning down multiple towns and killing dozens of people, including
Right.
chunks of
The
Santa Rosa.
Cascade Fire was in Nevada County, wasn't it?
Straddled Yuba and Butte. It was over by Bangor and Loma Rica, northeast of Marysville. So,
And what happened to your friend?
well, unfortunately, his girlfriend came up from the Bay Area and spent the weekend. There was no, the Diablo winds picked up. There was absolutely no warning because the power lines went down simultaneously around, causing multiple fires at once around Northern California, like 12 to 15. So at Bangor and Loma Rica, which are two different towns, two different sets of power lines went down for two fires spreading right next to that. It's kind of like spread out rural living more than town proper, but there's like a pizza place and a couple things to do, right? So what happened is people were awakened by the tap, 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 tap of gravel being picked up and thrown by the hurricane force winds and a red glow out the window. So his 911 call and his call to his son, I believe, said the roof was already on fire. They went outside the car and the driveway was on fire. They had motorcycles in the garage. They couldn't get it out. They had no way to flee on foot. It was the foothills like oak scrub. And looking at the footage of people's security cams, there were flame heights of like flame walls of like 100 feet when it hit the eucalyptus and other thick madrone type trees. And so the ember cast was like raining down like blizzards, and security cam footage of other neighbors. So they tried the fire hose defense as last resort and were missing people for days. And then we finally realized they would not have been able to make it. People who survived in the rest of the town, I think 4 total died, and there were about a dozen injuries, 6 of them pretty severe. Most people survived by either running, through like grass on fire towards something like a pond or whatnot. And some people, entire families, squeezed themselves somehow into the culvert underneath their driveway. So that's
I heard that.
Yeah, that's where.
I heard that. There was a fireman in Yuba City Fire Department that had a wife that was up there by herself. He was on duty, and she put the children to bed, and the power went out. And the next thing she realizes, she's in bed and she sees a glow reflecting on her wall. And she got up and looked out the window, and she saw nothing but a wide, front of fire coming to her, and got the children in the car, but the garage door wouldn't open because there's no power.
Right.
By the way, now in California, when you buy a garage door opener, it has to have a 12-volt backup.
That's what's happening
anymore.
That's the good result of those fires.
She dropped it in reverse and punched that car right through that garage door.
Oh, really?
And as she was leaving her driveway, the house was on fire. That's how sudden it was for her. Oh,
goodness. Yeah. I need to interview more people down there who survived it, because we lived somewhat nearby, and I still can't quite fully believe it. But we do have a question in chat and kind of a comment. David Dillon says that there actually are quite a few private residences along the McCloud River to the north of this shoe fire. Did you know about that, or do you think they're in danger?
Right. There's some isolated cabins and probably summer homes in there.
Okay.
Yes, there are, and they've got them in consideration. I think that's why they've asked for the night flying helicopters and all. But and I don't know how defendable those are. That's pretty timbered area and everything. So if those folks have got good clearance, they're not going to get a lot of wind in there. So if they got good clearance, they're defendable. You get what I'm talking about? But
sure.
But there are some isolated cabins and private residences in that area, but it's not what I would call an urbanized area or in any way, shape, or it's more not even a rural residential. It's more like mountain residential, kind of sparsely populated.
Right, and
because it's all public land. Most of it's public land. Now, there's isolated areas of private land in there, but there's a public land and then private land that Sierra Pacific has, and people own some property in there.
Right, and the smaller the community and more tightly knit it is, or near next to a main road, the easier it is to defend. Right, like individual structures. Smaller it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. I used to say all the time. I used to believe as a firefighter that if you have defensible space, and you've brush cleared and you've got a metal roof, but when you get when these winds show up, case in point was the fire that burned in Siskiyou County a couple years ago in Lake Shastina. There were homes that had no brush, and they had green lawn around their homes, and the flying brands landed in the rain gutters and caught their homes on fire.
Yeah.
And so, I tell people, if you're going to build and live in an area that drops a lot of pine needles, I wouldn't even put rain gutters. Now, that's kind of a hassle in the wintertime, but there's a collection point. If you go back and look at the Oakland Tunnel Fire in 1991, 3,200 homes burned, but it was only a fire that burned like 2,600 acres. It was a big fire.
Oakland Tunnel Fire?
The Tunnel Fire, Oakland in 91.
Oh, that
and
tunnel.
One of the ways that fire spread was from building to building, from home to home, was that they'd had a lot of dead eucalyptus leaves in the rain gutters of all the homes, and it was in the fall, and people hadn't cleaned them out yet, and so flying brands would land and light those rain gutters, which would light those roofs on fire. They had a horrendous wind in there, Diablo winds.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And then once you get fire established in a neighborhood, let's say an area that is a subdivided, where you have, maybe 10 homes per acre, it's in a subdivision. Once one home catches fire with a 30 or 40 mile an hour wind with gusts to 50, those flying brands will land everywhere and anywhere around your house. And they'll get through the screens of the floor vents and the attic vents, and they'll get through the crack in the garage door, or a hot flying brand might blow, through a door and land on something combustible in your garage, catch your garage on fire, because the wind is the devil. It is, it is probably the most significant factor. You could have a cool day, but as long as there's wind, and then of course that wind is dry, like it is during the Santa Anas or north wind, because it's a subsiding wind, it dries as it compresses and comes down. That's the factor. Go look at everything that's happened this year. Look at the park. Oh, by the way, I went and saw a portion of the park yesterday on the way up. I was coming up by Chico.
Oh, did you?
Look at the park. Why did the park do what it did? Well, because the winds were in alignment with the slope. And we were, I think right in the middle of our second or third heat wave, which assists the whole thing. It just, when the ducks line up, then you're going to have a catastrophic fire. And that's what red flag's all about. If you ever look at a red flag warning, when you go to the National Weather Service website and you click on an area that's a red flag area, they give you the warning. At the very bottom, they'll tell you when it's going to come, where, and what's going to happen. What 15 mile an hour sustained winds, gusts to 30, humidity under 15%, whatever the criteria. They have each one in different zones, different criteria for red flag. But when they declare a red flag, at the bottom, the Weather Service will say this: a red flag warning is an indication of critical fire weather, where a fire has a high potential of being a large damaging fire. That's what they say. They make that statement.
Right.
Yeah. It's just like right now, you got Hurricane Milton has the probability of being a large damaging earthquake based on what? The winds and the surge and the rains. So that's what those red flag watchers and warnings, and it gives the agencies an official heads up, because the National Weather Service is the only persons or entity that can declare watches and warnings. Predictive Services doesn't do it.
Yeah, I think you meant hurricane is the earthquake, but yes.
I'm sorry, hurricane and earthquake.
It's an earthquake in our world, of course. I'm not in contact with every single family member down there, so I was fretting, and that's what's occupied me the last couple of days. I did help get a disabled woman out of Tampa, hook her up with services. She's now out and evacuated with FEMA. I'm trying to work on a GoFundMe. She lost everything in Tampa. She was too disabled, but she came back to a wet, double wide, even had to sleep on a wet bed. Nobody was there to just help her dry things, and that's why it all got ruined. So I'm going to try to help her recover. And I'm sure most eyeballs in the nation are down there. So I'm really glad we talked to you, because this was quite alarming that it was looking so big on the cams, but it's not that big. They have a chance at catching it. It's by noon the next day, right? What's the rule about noon the next day, if you can surround it? Or
10 o'clock the next morning, yeah.
Or 10 o'clock?
The burning periods, yeah. It's kind of the 10 o'clock rule. And in Calfire, the agency that I had worked with, there was a horrendous philosophy of fast, aggressive initial attack, especially in the first burning period. So let's say the fire started today at 1400 hours, then it's going to hit its driest and normally hottest time around 4 or 5 p.m. And then so what they do is they order up strike teams of dozers, engines, and crews. The aircraft works very aggressively till sunset, and then those crews that night, they don't back off. They hit it hard and try to get in and get hose lays in, because now the fire, instead of being a 6-foot flame length, maybe they'll be down to 2 feet. And the thing is, it's steep country, so you can't send bulldozers up there. It has to be done with hose lays and hand crews.
Right.
And dozers are going to be used in areas where they can be used, but try to get at least what we call the forward spread stopped. And when you hear that comment on watch duty, the forward spread has stopped. Basically what that means is that the fire is contained with some kind of wet line or retardant line or scratch line. A scratch line is just a line. It's a temporary mineral soil hand line made, and then they're going to go back and they're reinforcing the lines. And then the fire gets completely put out, mopped up, and controlled. But we used to have the terms control and contain, but now they've gotten away from that, and containment is the word that they just use. So you'll see sometimes that the reports will come by and they'll say the forward spread is stopped and the fire's 20% contained. What that means is that fire's not spreading anymore, but only 20% of it has a mineral soil control line, either a hand line or a dozer line, and the incident commander saying that 20% of that entire perimeter, we know for sure the fire's stopped and it's not going to come out of there. It's mopped up and that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a couple things I'd like you to check my statement, if you would. And there was also some slang, which I thought maybe you would interpret too. And thank you for these definitions. They help people so much. This one, with the Clear Lake one, Air Attack said, well, it's still burning. It's a dirty burn. They said it's on the edge. Oh gosh, I can't read my own handwriting. So what is a dirty burn? Just smoke that's dark, and even if it's not that scary?
No. It has nothing to do, a dirty burn has nothing to do with color. So from the sky, imagine, let's just take an area that's like 100 yards by 100 yards square.
Okay.
Well, a clean burn would be all that's burned, clean black. A dirty burn is where it burns and it kind of, the burn, the actual black ash that you can see from the sky, is kind of mosaic, and I'd call that a dirty burn. That means there's some unburned fuel still in there. And so what they'll do is they'll burn that out so they don't have to mop it up. Otherwise, they got a cut line around all the irregular line or whatever. So that's a dirty burn where some fuels burn and some don't. Okay. That's what he means by that.
Yeah, okay. So it's good to just eliminate that threat and finish it off. Okay. Oh, awesome. Because when it was dirty, I'm like, what does that mean? And we saw the smoke getting darker. I'm like, does it mean it's getting different kind of fuels? Okay. That firefighter slang is the hardest thing about understanding all this. We do have something here that I was wondering if you saw. 30, right about the time we began talking, and another update came by. So according to Watch Duty, the fire's now 300-ish for potential for 2,500. The Shoe Fire of Shasta County. If it can be held within the current containment box, by aircraft and the retardant. If not, it has a potential for a larger incident if it cannot be held there. So is that about right? Like if they can hold it tonight, then maybe it won't grow. But if they can't, it'll be a couple thousand.
Well, the thing is, the thing is they're confident, but they're not. You can't. You just do your best. The incident commander does their best at basically estimating to potential. And so when they say that, the incident commander oftentimes will say what the potential is. It has a potential for a larger incident if it can't be held with those. That's true about any incident, but basically, they're hopefully going to be able to hold it around that 300 to 400 acre spot that they've got now. And but things change, and they'll see what they can get, how much they can get done tonight, and that's based on it's based on a lot of factors. And one thing they do have in their favor is little wind, good humidity recovery, and cooler temps. That's in their favor. Not like the line fire and the airport fire and the other one. The third one. It was called the what bridge or
the bridge, airport. Those are awful. Yeah.
Yeah, those were all under super dry, super hot, and very gusty southwest winds. So the wind in Redding, California, right? I'm looking out the door is just completely dead right now. It's zero.
Yeah. It looks like the smoke column gets pushed away.
So this is a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Just to give you an example, the Shasta Trinity Calfire unit did a control burn today in Redding.
Oh, really?
And they did. It was like, right outside of Redding. So that was within prescription. So today was a good day. They didn't have a lot of wind, but it was warm enough and dry enough so it would burn good, but at the same time not be a threat. So they scheduled the burn. They postponed it because of weather, but now they scheduled it for today.
Great.
And it was going to be in grass and oak woodland. This year's got timber, so it's a little bit different, heavier fuels.
Right.
So,
My worry is like residual fires being in the mountains when the high wind event comes, like a Diablo or Santa Ana. And the problem with those wind events is the aircraft really can't fly in those conditions very well. And they're all spread thin. Everything that's going will erupt at once in a wind condition. And, of course, the power line fires inevitably start if they don't de-energize. So it can be like we can't be everywhere at once situation, too.
So if you zoom in on this fire, if you look at it, you see a road in the middle of it predominantly, okay?
Okay.
All right, and then there's also the Sulan-Harris Creek is right there. There's a creek there, Sulan-Harris Creek. You see that?
I got to.
And if you zoom in, you have to zoom in. You have to zoom in with your mouse, and you'll get a kind of a figure of that incident there, that shoe fire.
Madrone Guard Station. Okay, I see. What am I looking for now?
Yeah, if you click on the shoe fire and then just zoom in with your mouse.
Oh, I'm on the more fancy map. I'm on the CalTopo. I see where
the watch duty map.
Oh, the watch duty one. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Street map or.
You can go to the satellite map on watch duty.
Okay.
Watch duty. I don't think you're in watch duty. I think you're in CalTopo right now.
I just switched, and I've got to do the layers.
You switched.
Yeah,
okay.
There's a 25-second delay almost, so between what you see.
That's right.
All right,
so if you look at that, I can look at that and say, well, there's a road there. This fire started and is on both sides of the road.
Okay.
And there's a creek. Anywhere there's a creek, that's the lowest spot in there. So to the left and right, or the north and south, or east and west of the creek is slope. You can look at this when you go to a layer, and if you pull the layer down that's topographic, you can see the slope. You see the contour lines. Right. So there's some steep country there that those crews have to really get, and there's a lot of spotting on the north end.
Okay.
And so, they've got, that's a problem, lots of spots. And, so it just depends. They might get some of this done just tonight, but they've got a lot of work because it's, it takes a while to get in there with resources too and all.
Yeah.
So
we have.
I don't think they'll get it. I don't think they'll get it contained tonight, no way, shape, or form. I think it'll probably be, but they can make some good progress. And then here's another thing.
Okay.
If they put a big order in for aircraft, well, especially Type 1 helicopters, you've got the McLeod Reservoir, you've got a river there, so the turnaround time from water to the fire kind of like on that Piru. I don't know if you were covering the Piru fire in Ventura the other day. Well, the Piru Lake was right there. So those helicopters dipped water, dumped it, and went back in like 60 seconds.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Same thing with the Clear Lake and the Dutch Flat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It really matters.
I used to teach my firefighters when they became officers, if they were first into a fire and they crossed a body of water while en route nearby the fire, that was God's way of telling you, order big volume of helicopters. You know, normally we would get one on the initial attack, but order heavy with helicopters because helicopters are very effective. You know, they've proven that.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people.
Tankers are too, but helicopters are very effective, and they're very, very versatile, very diverse. They can transport medevac victims. They can transport personnel. They can transport cargo. They can recon. They can do a lot of things.
That's why I tell people, if you want your house or your neighborhood or your little town to be safe, put a sizable pond nearby, and they can dip out of that and or pump out of that.
That's true.
Yeah, right.
I used to meet ranchers and people who lived in rural Shasta County here, and they said, hey, you know, when I built my home, I put this pond in. It's a natural pond because they had, you know, he had a drainage where all he had to do was dam up one section of it. It was on his land. And he says, you know, it's just natural runoff when we get a good rainy winter. And he said, that's for you guys.
Nice.
And I said, well, that's great. You know, our helicopters and even our engines, we have floater pumps. We can drop on a body of water and pump water from a small brook and pump it into the engine. So, and a lot of people too are getting smarter living in rural California with water supplies. Like a lot of them will buy a poly tank, which is, you know, a big plastic tank. And you can get them from anywhere from 1,000 to 20,000 gallons at, you know, Tractor Supply. And they'll put it on a hill, and then they'll put a 2 or 3 inch PVC pipe underground all the way down with a fire department standpipe with a fire department threads.
Yeah.
And they'll say, hey, if you need to get water to back up what you got in your tank, because every engine only has 500 gallons, it gravity feeds, you know, and he might have a little well or a natural spring that feeds it. Years ago in the 50s, Calfire used to go around and they actually took something that looked like a septic tank, and they would put these septic tanks at the bottom of these little natural springs, and they would stay full all through the winter time, and then they stayed full, and they could use them for auxiliary water supplies in the summertime.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So like they were, and here I just thought they were swimming pools for bears, you know? And
I mean, some people, a lot of people too, I tell people if they want a first aid appliance for fighting fire is that you can buy, there was a vendor, I'll never forget this, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you could buy a hand cart that has a pump, and you wheel it out of your garage, a hand cart, just like if you were holding a cart full of boxes, but now you have a fire pump. You drop the suction into the pool, your swimming pool, it has 100 feet of hose, and you spring it out, and you connect it up, and you got 100 gallons of it at 100 pounds pressure. It's a big fire extinguisher, you know.
That would be the coolest gift for a kid who wants to be a firefighter, the radio flyer, like I'm training wagon. Put a button on it and it's make it look like a rig.
You know, it's just like people are getting more aggressive with securing their homes. They're putting in gates. You know, I've got an alarm system and lights, and people, the right to bear and keep arms. They're getting armed. They're taking their own personal initiative to protect their homes from crime. Well, from fire. I think in California, I have seen this. I will say this, that it seems like I've seen that more homeowners now, especially in the areas that have had fires like in Shasta here, where we've had some horrendous, terrible fires with fatalities and everything, especially after CAR. People were more aggressive about maintaining their properties. Even if beforehand they never did, but now they are. They'll either do it themselves or they'll take the money and hire a company to come and clean the brush, and they'll cut the grass, and because of what happened in CAR was right in their face.
Right, and just look at the hurricane response with Helene. You know, the citizens, like I keep saying, the citizens will pick up the slack where the government is lack, and I'm proud of people, but more and more we feel like we're on our own, but maybe that's not so bad.
I've been real impressed with the private nonprofits like Samaritan's Purse,
really,
and some of these others like American Red Cross, which is it's a private nonprofit.
Yeah.
That really go the extra mile. There's all kinds of organizations. Some of them are faith-based. Some of them are not. That really go and help people out.
Yes, absolutely.
Because the government's a day late and a dollar short half the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah, and I mean the National Guard just went to North Carolina's National Guard, I believe, went to Kuwait or something right before this hurricane. They're supposed to guard the nation. I don't know how this works, but what can we do? Rather than cry in our beers and develop twitching, we can be proactive, and there's a lot we could do to make ourselves safe. And our heroes can just take advantage of whatever tool we give them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we'll kind of call it here. I have things I must do to prepare for.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you so much, JB, for being here. I would just tell your listeners that this could be very much. Here we are, October 9? Mm-hmm. Today, October 9, 2024. In the next 3 or 4 weeks, especially if we don't get measurable rain in California, we might get some isolated pockets up there in the very northwest by Crescent City. Yeah, they have water up there, but you get a lot of rain. But this could be the calm before the storm. Yeah,
it's being set up because we had some isolated rain back in August and September that was not measurable. I mean, it was just short term. But this is the calm. This could be the calm before the storm. Unless we get storms lined up out there on the Pacific, and the jet stream drops down to where it brings those storms right into California, we're at risk because the calm is when you have cool days with no wind and a fall-like weather. But then all you need is high pressure to come back in behind it, and it starts drying. And then if you get high pressure with the low pressure off the coast, and you start getting your north winds and diurnal winds, and you get the Santa Anas, then God be with you. Yeah. Because it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, what he means is...
All right, take care.
Yeah, thank you so much, JB. We love you, and the chat's so appreciative of you. And
hang in there.
Yeah, we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's JB's dire warning, and I don't run around scaring people. I don't. I warn people so that you don't have to be scared when it actually occurs. Just because something is scary doesn't mean you're fear-mongering. It means if you're actually warning people rationally and they need to be warned, that's just called warning people. So fear-mongering is creating a climate of fear that may or may not be real just to panic people and profit off of it and or exploit chaos. That's what fear-mongering means, and some people do that. It doesn't mean... It's totally the opposite of what I do, which is warn people so that they could be prepared and can feel a lot less of it. So what people are just unaware of is that California's worst fire season is right now. It is pretty much October until we get the wet season fully arrived and snows firmly in the Sierras. Right now we still have vegetation critically dry from the heat of summer because it's still basically acting like summer. 90 degrees here today. Even though it's very cold at night, 90 degrees during the day. And that's why we saw with the hottest time of the day and the sunset up until sunset here. The fire behaving on steroids because of the heat and low humidity like it's summer. So we're just checking off the days nervously. They could have already been here. Today's the anniversary of the North Bay fires. Read that Wikipedia if you want to cry. Where I first woke up to wildfire danger and knew we were in a different era. That different from my grandmother's time and my parents' time. This is the anniversary of Santa Rosa burning down, and 12 to 15 different fires, mostly from the power companies' lines going down, like multiple towns being erased on the same night with no warning. That's what we should have mentioned. Is Bangor and Loma Rica and many places had no warning because the fires ripped through the power. With power lines going down, they lost power, and people were sitting ducks. And the fire came at night and got them. People had no idea where to go, what to do, and what was happening. So when it happened again with Paradise 1 year later, November 8th, right? Another mass fatality event. I said, okay, that's it. I got to do something. I technically went live at the same time as Paradise. I didn't understand fire behavior, not at all like I do now, but that's what got me started. I at least helped people at the time with maps and tracking heat and finding things on social media they needed to know. 2020 happens again with a once in a lifetime wind event on Labor Day, and that was September. But that was kind of like Santa Ana's for all three Western states at the same time. That's like I said, a once in a lifetime wind event. So, but this season, this has happened every single year. The nervous moment while it's still the heat of summer and the vegetation has been cooked all summer by the crazy droughts and high temps and the heat domes and heat advisory days, the red flag days, the dry wind days. So all the dead stuff is not going to really get wet. That happens with the dew, but at least the living plants can totally recharge and be a lot less flammable, right? Resist things a lot better. So when the snows come, then the dead stuff gets compacted and just crushed and kind of starts to rot, and that's when we can breathe a sigh of relief for the Northern California. Now, Southern California will have a winter fire season. That's terrible. Unless there is some constant damp. Last year, I was taken by surprise. I didn't expect to do fire stream from June all the way till December 15th, and that was Ventura County's last fire. And then they had torrential rains after that. So California had such bad rains. But what JB was saying, that everything has the makings of a disaster, is if this keeps going on with no measurable rain the next week, because we're getting closer to a Diablo wind or a Santa Ana wind event. I mean, they're seasonal, October through January. So every single day that goes by, it's a little bit closer. We get closer towards salvation, which is the wet season, snows. But we're also closer to the likelihood of a disaster until that wet season begins. So it's a weird Russian roulette type of thing. So every day that the gun fires, though, is another chance that the next one has that bullet. And what would a disaster look like? A pre-existing fire, like a big wildfire, not fully contained, and then these winds can blow it. Spot fires 3 miles away. There's a hurricane force coming out of the dry desert. So even Northern California will eventually be safe first, presumably first, because the Sierras and Shasta region gets the snow. Southern California has to be nervous all the way through January sometimes, because let's look what the Thomas Fire did. December through January fire that was enormous and $1 billion disaster and a killer. So what I'm looking at right now is we'll look at the latest update. We just take it one day at a time here, but do not let your guard down. Don't think things are over. We are in our most dangerous fire season right now. California is autumn before wet season. So let's read our latest update. It's not that big. Shasta Trinity National Forest said the Shoe Fire acreage is around 400-ish. And that he's right. JB pointed out that it didn't really spread very fast because there's almost no wind. So it's going to get colder and colder by the minute, and it's dark. I don't think they'll be able to do any more drops. We can't hear the pilots. We haven't been able to all day. But I'm sure they're done. In fact, T-93 is stuck midair. This S2 is stuck in midair. That just means he went low and yeah, there he goes. Now his transponder has caught up with him, and he's actually down that way, leaving. So nighttime helicopters, though, JB says if they can get this, slam it all night with the ground crews and the help of the helicopters, everything's going for it with luck here. With a lucky break in the weather, higher humidity 70% by 7 in the morning. There's a rule about firefighting. If you can kind of get around it and be prepared, have some sort of lines around it by 10 in the morning, at least as most active front, then you've got the best chance of catching it. Because by noon the next day, that's usually when winds will take the control away from you. So you got to do it by 10 in the morning in anticipation of winds picking up by noon the next day and the heat of the day. So, like we were saying, that aircraft can turn the tide, especially the nighttime stuff. If they just quickly get on it with ground crews, they can just keep it around this acreage. And if it bursts through, they're saying that the next best guess would be that it would be almost 3,000 acres. But rest assured that if your cabins or your properties down here, especially if they're near the main road or if there's a decent road going to it, especially if there's maybe a pond or something, good defensible space, these places, smaller communities can be easier to save than big ones, just depending on how much they're able to set up. And of course, your work with this defensible space. So don't have too much fear about it. It's still right in this area. So we'll just wait until we have a reason to fear, right? So the evacuations were taking place today in Madrone, Wheeler Ranch, and the Fenders Ferry Road area. They have an assembly area by the cemetery parking lot at Holcomb Cemetery on Montgomery Creek, which is on the evacuation map, which is here on the Watch Duty link, which I'll put in the chat right now. This is how you get to Watch Duty and see all the information for where to go and what to do with evacuations. I have to go and prepare for possibly a long drive tomorrow to pick up computer equipment. I'm gonna try to set that up. I have to see. Let's just look at the hurricane real quick. Just look at it. I'm sure. I want to look at this too. J.E. Cat says the ham radios down there. The ham radio ops are pretty much down. I would expect that, yes. But I would at least put on the radio for the ham rescue that's still going on in North Carolina. That's been an incredible frequency to be following the last couple of days. My idea was, man, I wish on a happier day I could announce we met the first 1,000 goal with the. Thank you, friends. We did it. With the with our with the membership. So please don't stop becoming a member. I want that to be a regular thing. I'm hoping it'll be regular income, even in the off season and days I'm not streaming. And I do want to do special treats for you, special events, special little streams first, and then other people see something later. Maybe I'll try to stream my drive. We'll see. To get the computer equipment to put something together for the California trip. We'll see, friends. Yeah, Michael Jones, we're at 1,008. 1,008. Thank you. And there's too many people to thank. So if I start thanking everybody, I don't want to miss anybody. But remember, my heart is sick. Today's the anniversary of my friend's death in the worst way imaginable. Our family friend's death in Cascade Fire. It's so grim, but I know if I click on anything to show you guys, like a memorial type thing, inevitably they show the devastation of Santa Rosa and other places that would be very traumatically, triggering. Yeah, Michael Jones and everybody who helped. You have my gratitude. But let's have a day when we can feel a little bit better to do a proper celebration. But if you do want to become a member, hit the join button. And if you don't see one because you're on iPhone or iPad, because it might be missing for you, please hit the link that's a pinned message in the chat. You can expand it. It's the one at the very top that looks white or something. And there's a second $1,000 drive that if we could get this pulled off, I don't know that we can now, by the 15th. Anybody who joins memberships on their own and sets it up for auto pay, it's just $2 a month. Then YouTube gives me a $10 match for $2 of somebody's donation, I think. So we could get even more, and then I could get even better gear. We still need to fix our audio problems, have a second monitor, get the desk in order, get wall mounts for my expensive monitors and such. So in the case of a desk accident ever again, that won't. I'm so sorry, Bugs. You have every symptom of COVID. Yeah. There's a lot of things I need to buy. Lavalier mics to interview people. My drone may not be flyable anymore. That would be on a wish list to film more of the Caldor Burn Scar documentary and the Dixie. Microphones, not only for me being here, but in the field. A couple of lights and the like. I need lots of cables, Thunderbolt 4 cables. I need SD cards, really big ones for 4 and 8K footage that are fast. Those are really expensive. I need a power inverter for the car, a battery bank, so that I'm not, like if I am somewhere, like a McDonald's parking lot, pulling over to cover fires and opening up the laptop. I don't want to run my engine for 3 hours like I did screwing up my car and wasting gas. One of those portable battery things. I got to finalize, today's the last day of Prime Day, as many things that need to be shipped to my house as I can, with the goal of leaving on the 15th or 16th for California. So I got to go now. Oh, this is called my radar. Now, I'll get you a link. I'll be happy to. It's the Stonewind. And I'm still trying to find out if everybody is safe that I know in the South right now. I do not know where one of my great aunts is in a nursing home. So, Bugs, I'm so sorry. When you were talking about feeling so ill, I was thinking, oh God, that sounds like COVID. I'm so sorry, man. Big hugs for you. Let me show you my radar. It's for Android and iPhone, and now there's a desktop. Now, it's the one with a specific logo. Let me show you, because there's more than one. So this is what it looks like. So myradar.com is a different one that sucks a lot, so get this one. And hurricane tracking is a paid-for feature, which, well, but nothing prevents you from just opening and looking at the situation. It does show wildfires, and it does give you good emergency info if you know how to set it up for notifications properly. But it's very beautiful and elegant once you learn how the thing is used. So you could get it for desktop, like it installs for Windows, Google Play apps, and Apple App Store. Yeah, they're the highest rated top 10 weather app. I have good taste, okay? So it'll tell you when rain is starting. It's a little bit difficult. People don't realize, like, how do I see the weather forecast instead of just radar? And you have a search button in the bottom left down here. And that's how you search for something. And then once you get to something, you swipe from the top. You see, like, it'll say the weather at the top. Swipe with your finger from the top, and you'll see the stuff on the right, which is the more detailed forecast, the wind speed, wind direction, 10-day. And then you can lock the, if you want to look around the map, but still lock the same weather forecast, instead of changing with where you're moving on the map, then you hit an actual lock button in the corner. So I wish I could show you in how to use it on desktop, but it's different on a desktop. On a desktop, it's just like a browser window. You like click on things. It's kind of similar. Like you would have a location search. We could do Tampa. I saw that there were tornadoes in Fort Myers, which is where C-Probe's family lives. So part of his family. So we've got it there. So like here on desktop, you can't see it because I cut it out to remove the ad. But there are buttons at the bottom for map type. I don't want to redo that. I'm sorry, friends. Layers, and then one says forecast. So it'll change because there's a crosshair. Do you see it? Like it's an X. It's a plus sign. You can only see it over the dark water. But wherever you put the crosshairs, where you get your let's just put it at the eye. And Sarasota. Let's do Sarasota, which is being pummeled right now. Did the eye wall break up? I heard something like it weakened, and that just meant that there would be no daylight in the center, I guess. I mean, it's still tremendously powerful. So I've hit the lock button, and now you can see when I move around, we've got the same weather forecast, and you can scroll down and hit the different, is it wind, is it cloud cover, precipitation, temperature, and days at a glance, how much rain versus heat, humidity, or precipitation versus heat, and here's your hourly up there. So it's similar on the phone, and then what you can do is save certain places to get alerts. So I don't know if alerts are here on desktop. I've told it not to because that would make a bunch of sounds while we're streaming. So let's see what the wind is. Like, what is the current wind speed at Sarasota? Did I just screw this up? Okay, to the top, 78 degrees now. What is their wind speed?
Shoe air attack, helicopter 512 manager on SHF, repeat.
Hey, Shasta National Forest North just said something. Okay, we're still listening to Shasta best we can. It's just they haven't said much in a long time. 85-mile-an-hour wind gust.
This is 512 manager. I'd like to get the helicopter 512 back to Mott Airport due to visibility.
Oh, we lost it. We lost a helicopter on the shoe fire due to visibility. Arg. Is there anything I can do for you, Bugs? Just let me know. I'm available briefly now, because I've got to run an errand. I can bring anything that you need. I can bring anything that you need. New Day, you can't be cussing and dour like that before like 10 p.m. Because we got to make it family friendly. So, yeah, please get some rest, okay? And don't pick fights, please, guys. Don't know where that's coming from. Nobody's challenging you, New Day. So I don't let your imagination run off with you. Okay, so 85-mile-an-hour wind gust, sustained 22, but it's always worse than that. Like if you ever look at a special weather statement, or like a hurricane warning and flash flood warning, and you look here and it explains the real weather. So it says peak wind forecast at 120 miles an hour with gusts to 135. So this is always the real part of the forecast if there's ever anything special going on. I don't know what the discrepancy is between like what's wind speed and temp versus like the real deal, which is behind all this stuff you gotta read. That drives me nuts. But I've had furniture blow off of my balcony and like take out a small tree in a neighbor's yard and destroy a small picket fence when Portland like weather was like not even saying it was blustery. That said it was 10 miles an hour with 20-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Yeah, that was like 60. To pick up lawn furniture that's plastic and throw it, that was like 60, 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So the weather app I had at the time just didn't have all the fine print. So I was always blindsided by special events. And so I finally got some like this in NOAA Weather app by Pandemonium Software, which I also link. Now remember those two NOAA weather apps, but you want Pandemonium Software, because the other one is spyware, basically. So we've got Sarasota absolutely being pummeled. Prayers is all we can do. Yeah, it's not NOAA. Is it called NOAA Weather and Tides anymore? Yeah, Pandemonium Software. I don't think it is. Why is it doing like that? Okay. Nope, that's not it either. What's this? Okay, well, let's just unzoom. I'll find it on the Google Play Store real quick. Yeah, there it is. This is one by Pandemonium Software. It's the one that's got blue here. So once you figure out how to use this one, it would show you like Sarasota, and you would click on the current condition right here. And when you do, this other menu opens up that has your temperature, precip, wind, and conditions. Keep scrolling to the right. and you can see like humidity at each hour. That's how I track fires. And to figure out when the humidity and wind are going to be, good or bad. And then you have your temperature in these nice, neat little columns sorted by time. And so this is a nice complement to my radar. And this one will save your life with if you get the current locations and are able to set up the emergency notifications and like. So it'll always have a current location, hazardous weather outlook type thing for you. Just don't favorite too many locations. And so I have my friends and family where they lived as like favorites, and I can just, zip right over to it. Occasionally during Firestream, I'll just put the most flammable counties on there. Shasta, Clear Lake, LA, Orange, Kern, the drill. Butte is always cursed. So this is NOAA Weather by Pandemonium Software. I'm not sure if they have. Let's see, NOAA Weather Pandemonium Software for iPhone. Let's see if they have it. NOAA Weather and Tides. I believe that's different. Nope, that is Pandemonium Software, Weather and Tides. Okay, so here it is for the iPhone. There you go. All right. Bugs Bunny says, no, I'm good at dying. I've done it a bunch of times already. Bugs. Okay, I hope you'll be all right. He's kind of scared me there. I hope it was a funny, facetious joke. But truly, you call if you need something. Okay? I mean, I will drop it off on the porch. I can't get exposed to COVID, but anything you need, dear. J-Cat says, here we go. Wildfires, tornadoes, flash floods. Where at, J-Cat, are you talking about? We are seeing a sleepy time tea effect for the shoe fire because it's going to be so cold. And you know what? I'll just demonstrate using Pandemonium Software's NOAA Weather right now. Let's see if JB is correct or if the two things, of course he's correct. Let's see if NOAA Weather agrees, or different weather apps say different things, like about the return of high humidity for this shoe fire area. What did he say was the nearest area? Wintune? I'm sure that forecast would be very nearby, or tell me guys if that would work. Like current conditions there, 72. Tonight's low is going to be 38. 38. That Wintune just north of the shoe fire. A hop, skip, and a jump. So the temperature will be 49 by midnight on this fire and 38 by 7 in the morning. And let's see, around 7 in the morning, cloud cover will be 56%. Humidity might be around 95% because of the low hanging clouds. So it's even looking better. So we have 71% humidity by 10 p.m. tonight. So that's even better than the forecast that JB had gotten. Maybe it just updated. Let's see. Yeah, well, it was a 2 hours ago update, but that's why I love. Here it is. Pandemonium Software. You just move around. You got your columns of information. Bug says, thanks for the kind offer. I'm stocked up and okay for now. Okay, hold fast. Just hold fast. Remember, confusion is like a super thing. You have your sense of smell, Bugs. Being spacey and unmotivated and just kind of staring like, yeah, I think I need to do that. Yeah, that's important. And then kind of going, but I'm so tired. My neck hurts. I'm really tired. Yeah, I think I need to do that too. I'll get up in a minute. And then like, oh, why did 3 hours just went by? What happened? And why is it dark? And you wake up and you're like 6 o'clock p.m. And then like, oh my God, I just told my mom I would call her, and in a text message like an hour ago, I don't remember sending that. Like that was that was like some of the worst COVID experience for me back in the day. A couple of years ago when I had it, it was mostly confusion, and I had lost my sense of smell. I only realized when I drank spoiled milk that, you know. But having it multiple times has had different effects on me, but confusion remains my number one. I'm sure I had it when I was like super looking bad on the stream a couple of weeks ago. And I had COVID tests that were negative, but I don't know. The constant nosebleeds that I had, they say it's kind of a new symptom. And I don't think that Sudafed explains all that. It was real bad. Yeah, in 2023. Yeah. JCat says, well, I had no other warning than feeling tired and going to bed at 7 p.m., waking up at 10 a.m., getting out of bed. And instead of heading to the bathroom, I just kept going into the wall. What, JCat? What? Okay. Sounds like that. That was a confusing night. Okay. So, all right. Bugs says, you had the nosebleeds of 2023 and now here too. Well, I just have nosebleeds in general. Like, I don't, it's part of the deviated septum and screw up sinus thing I have. But that was excessive. Like they would not stop. I've never had a problem clotting before, unless I took aspirin, which is why I don't. But it wouldn't stop. I was almost passing out. Level of bleeding. I didn't want to tell you guys on stream too much about that. Of course, not during an emergency. I was like, okay. So right now I'm taking iron, and that's what I recommend is take some iron bugs so you can have as many red blood cells as you can, because you'll go low oxygen. If you have the thing that measures your oxygen on your finger, that's another way you can tell if COVID is getting dangerous for you. Because when it doesn't directly attack, acutely attack the lungs with acute breathing problems, what it does is something worse to some folks. And the older you are, the more likely it is to happen, but it can happen to anyone. And that is put them in a low oxygen state, and they go almost comatose, and shallow breathing, and it's a low oxygen state. Don't ask me all the mechanics behind it, but a lot of the platelets clump together, and I don't know if that interferes with blood circulation or red blood cells being overwhelmed by the amount of white or whatever the hell's going on. So keep your do everything you can to keep your oxygen high. Red meat, iron for your iron production. Try to monitor. They've even had Black Death on COVID in the worst scenarios where I think it was the clumping platelets even blocked blood flow to fingertips, and so gangrene began at the fingertips, which is like what happens with the Black Death bubonic plague. That's when the lymph nodes overwhelm blood vessels with the junk if you can't drain the buboes in the Black Death. But there's many things that could cause that, and frostbite as well. But that cascades with tissue death, So discoloration of your fingertips and the toe spots, a redness, making it look like there's like athlete's foot on your feet, or looking like red spots, like blisters, or even like dark brown spots of iodine is what happened to me when I had toe spots a long time ago. But this is back in the original COVID. This light rash on the stomach, that's another one that's more indicative of that, and it's not the flu, But they say you could have the flu and COVID at the same time. I don't know about RSV, but wouldn't that be a triple whammy? Yeah, Bugs Bunny says I have too many red and white blood cells. You have blood clots in the sinus and nose. Yeah. So that's the nasal passage surgery that I have to return from California for. I'm desperately trying to save this trip. I'm gonna probably make 2 different California trips, early December, and this one if I can get it off by the 15th or 16th. So tomorrow I may have to pick up some electronics gear. Like I said, I gotta go. And I am going to go get an RSV and flu shot and all that. I want that to kick in and be active by the time I go see, well, anybody, especially my elderly relative. So yeah, Bugs, just hang in there, and if you do feel like you have trouble breathing, don't wait any longer, because the confusion is what nearly killed one of my friends during COVID, where he had COVID and it gave him a stroke. It really does trigger strokes because of the blood cells clumping, and they can block off blood circulation to a limb like a leg or anything. But when oh god, Bugs, RSV shot blew your arm up like a softball. You know what? Somebody doing their shots wrong, like somebody who just had a bad day or is a newbie at giving shots, like the nurse. That's oftentimes the result. It was not in the right spot. But goodness, I hope that wasn't a serious reaction to it. So yeah, we're gonna go here. I think I'm repeating myself a little bit. I hope you guys got something out of us looking at the shoe fire that you guys have put at ease. Everybody who's emailed me and wants to help out, sorry, like David, I have number one priority to see some of my relatives in California who are not doing well with their health. And then it's like, okay, I have to have the laptop to be able to go live at a moment's notice, but then mod training and partner type training will resume. It's just this has these hurricanes and the glass desk exploding and so many other weird behind the scenes things I can't even tell you about, including my car being screwed up at the body shop, delaying the trip a week. Let me put down some of the balls to juggle, and then we'll pick that back up. But please hit the like button if you didn't before. We had 805 views. We have 29 people still here. I'm sure everybody's watching the hurricane. Don't blame you. But if you can join with memberships, is a great way to help us meet another fundraising goal. And $2 a month is the cheapest one. And I get $10 matched by YouTube for everybody who does that in the next couple of days. So if you want to do that, there's a join button. I will be doing little exclusive behind the scenes fun things for my members. Especially in the next few days. Okay. That's Shasta Forest. I'm turning that off. Let's see if there's any aircraft still out there. I think they pulled them all out, and one of the helicopters has left due to visibility, but a Chinook maybe headed back. Hey, a Chinook is headed back. Chinook. That's another meme on the channel. One of the watch duty reporters typed it out like this. Chinook, probably voice typing Chinook, and that's our new joke on the channel. So what will happen is with memberships, it's a bonus for those who financially make this possible ad-free, make this channel ad-free. With donations, that's how it's possible, so that people do not get life-saving information interrupted by ads. So if you can't donate, don't worry, spreading the word, sharing the channel, texting the share, hitting the share button and texting us to anybody you think needs to know we exist, who we can help. As the best way to help. Social media, especially, you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, whatever it is. JCast has announced weird. Look at the two cams on the left. The smoke from the bottom continues on the top. What? On the tile? I wasn't looking at cams, but God love dragon. What? Did I miss something? What? Okay. Yeah, I'm reading the chat, but I don't know what you're talking about. Everything, like JB says, try not to fret too much. This could get beyond and expand, the 400-ish or so acreage that it's at. But the days are shorter. Remember, day length gives fire steroids. Remember, just as it got darker and cooler, this fire just started really diminishing in intensity. So it's a race against time. If they can really get around it and get the worst of it cooled off by the morning, it's going to be like 38 degrees here and 94% humidity in the lower elevations probably due to like a foggy type effect and low-hanging clouds. So this is the best news we could kind of get. And if they can really get this under control in the next few days, we can breathe a huge sigh of relief that there's not a big looming threat in Santa Ana wind season. I want to look at the peak and some others. The peak is not out or contained. Here in Tuolumne County, 75% though, it's edging up there. But one must always remember that Brush and Berry Creek were erased in a similar situation where it was like, oh, much higher percentage, in the autumn 2020, where they had a new high percentage, like a 78% chance, or 78%, percentage of containment. People that were downstream, this is a different part of California, but the same scenario with the mountains. They were packed up but did not leave, and some returned, I believe, just thinking it was starting to be a done deal. Remember, not in Santa Ana wind season, not in Diablo wind season, not in autumn before the wet season. Nothing. Percentage of containment is the percentage of progress towards making you safe. You're only safe at about 95. That's when they pause it for a bit, even if it's 100, just to get more funding to do cleanup. But unless it's about 95 or 100, you're not safe yet. It's just progress towards making you safe. Look what the line fire did, is they had high percentage of containment, but 2 trouble spots that still were very difficult to put dozers in. And then a couple weeks later, when October's first came along with a bit of wind, they had to re-evacuate people. So remember, containment in the 70s is great, but don't think it's over yet. So this is a threat. They have black line in the front of it, which is so awesome. But that doesn't mean that this is the only threat to downstream, right? If the fire were to spread out like it's at the northeast section, and then affect a wider area, it could go around itself in a wind event. This is why this is great. This is great. We're getting safer, but don't let your guard down, and don't think that you don't have to have a go bag anymore. You do. Remember, power lines down in wind. It doesn't really matter what the weather is, unless it's torrentially raining. A fire can still happen, and we're still living in PG&E and SoCal Edison land, aren't we? David says wind on the Shoe fire beginning to shift could start pushing the fire towards Fender's Ferry Road. Lots of homes and campgrounds in the area. Well, doesn't it die down later? We'll take a look. But the peak still worries me. I'm feeling better and better about it every day, but it still does. And let's look at the Shoe 17-minute ago update. There's a spot fire by the Madrone campground that is being worked over as per incident command. An additional 4 hand crews, 3 water tenders, and 5 Type 3 engines have been requested for tomorrow morning. Precautionary evacuations are going to be extended for some areas west of the fire to I-5. And evacuation orders are to be extended along Fender's Ferry Road to Highway 229. So I think that's good, because that means that on I-5, there's a lot of people use I-5 as like a hitchhiker corridor right there, and they use bicycles and scooters on the side of I-5, and all kinds of inappropriate things in this region. I've driven this a lot, up and down, visiting California. So if people pull over and they might see something cool to photograph because they might need to use the bathroom or stretch their legs or whatever, people could go wandering off and not realize they should stay out of that area, right? So it's good to extend it to I-5. That keeps people on I-5 away from it, hopefully. And but it is of a concern, but we'll take it one day at a time. The winds are still. What do you see for winds, David? I mean, are you seeing it out the window or something? I keep forgetting the locations where everybody is till reminded. But I've got to go really soon. If you could tell us real quick. The good news is we haven't had a red heat detection for quite some time. More than, yeah, it finally went all yellow for more than an hour. I don't expect a red heat detection unless they do firing ops tonight, which possibly could be a thing. Heck, go ahead and burn off I-5 if you can. And any car and truck fire on I-5 could, it would be safe for the rest of the winter. If you've had a big fire in your community, on it or around it, I'm sorry for that. But also remember that where it hasn't harmed things, where it's been around your community, where it has burned off the duff and the stuff on the grass, stuff on the ground, then you are much safer going into Santa Ana wind season, especially in Southern California, because there's less to burn right up next to your community. Your community is a lot easier to save. So as much of a jerk beep off beep son of a beep that arsonist was alleged for the line fire, for example, like San Bernadino, where the neighborhoods where it first started are looking much safer because your hills are burned off. You don't have as much to worry about for Santa Ana's, at least in those spots. Same thing like Big Bear Lake. This whole area is going to come out much more protected than before. Today in the park fire, we cannot say that for really Butte County, not much. At least where there was grass, we can. But up in the Sierras in Butte County, the park fire had a resurgence of something today. We saw it on the cams. So here it is on Colby Mountain 1. So the park fire is not even out, but they're doing their best they can to go find smokes like these. We could even have holdover fires from the park where stumps burned through the winter under the snow. It's something that happens sometimes under the right circumstances, and the odds of it increase when you have a gigantic fire. So JCAS's winds are now out of the east over the shoe. Well, what little winds there are, yes. Out of the east. Well, you know what? They've had a good amount of time to get there and slam it with aircraft. They, of course, put retardant in between the buildings and, where the fire could reach them, and they're on scene. They've had hours now to do so. So, like I said, this fewer amount of buildings, the smaller the communities, the more likely they are to survive. And they've got decent road access to at least part of it. So let's turn off the fire activity. Jackass Creek. Wouldn't it be nice if this was just called the Jackass Fire? I don't think we've had one this year, and it seems like that's what's missing from this year. We've had one every year prior. Like if there was a Jackass Road, it'd probably be the Jackass Fire, but well, we got the shoe, and that's Hofmeister Fire. That would have been cool as well. What do you think would be cooler, the Hofmeister or the Jackass? Well, so we could put on structures. Look at structures. Oh, let's look at the Trippy fire map real quick before we go. I promised to show it. I don't know if people are still around. Come on, don't crash, Caltopa. Don't crash. Don't crash. Don't crash. Don't crash. Okay. Is it? Oh, they just started a lot of structures over there. Okay. I gotta get a higher contrast. Okay, now you can see it. All right, now you can see it. So fire activity. But David, yeah, I'm so sorry I haven't been able to get right back to you. Chicken with head cut off mode. Thank you for being here and helping. We will be in touch, dear. We will be in touch. So structures clustered down so where we've had heat. This is more by the origin, if I remember looking at the map. I'm not familiar with the area, so don't quote me on things. The smoke has been drifting around a little bit. But we've got a lot of roads here to the northwest flank if the fire was going to try to go there. Remember what JB said characterized this fire, it would be terrain, mostly driven, and there's almost really no wind today. Terrain and fuels driven. It doesn't need wind to spread out in all directions. The steepness means that flaming debris on one ridgetop could just fall like a bouncing pine cone to the very bottom. Light fire at the bottom of that creek or ravine, and fire would climb to the top of the one on the other side. So that's another way that it doesn't need wind. Terrain-driven spread can be the factor. I'm so happy to see this amount of red zone on the north and west side. But that's steep. That is steep. So we'll see if I'm driving tomorrow to try to pick up computer equipment. If so, I'll try to stream at least part of it or in between stops. But I got to go now to coordinate that, friends. So prayer sent for everybody involved in the hurricane, and I need to take the computer apart briefly. This is why I can't stream the hurricane and just like leave, and do my thing. I do need to take the computer apart to replace a couple of parts, and long story, no time to go into it right now. And I will be Grumpy Gamer Guy. Yeah, we'll be in touch. But thank you, friends, for being here, and everybody. We did meet the $1,000 goal, but there's a second $1,000 goal. Please consider using the join button to become an Eggling member. And it's just the way you can support the streams. Set it and forget it for $2 a month, and you will get perks like if I'm streaming tomorrow, it'll say members only. Say maybe the drive or something like that, and then you can see it later, or whatever. They eventually become public viewable, but it's like sneak peek stuff. I don't know if I'll do that for the drive, but behind the scenes stuff will do. And just as a bonus for everybody who supports us, because I can't do it without you, mods, friends, donors, contributors, people who get us information, the locals, people patting us on the head. I'm blown away by your generosity. I wish I could feel better today, but it is a grim anniversary of my friend's death in the Cascade Fire. So let us not forget all the victims of the North Bay fires. What was called the North Bay fires, but should have been called the PG&E fires, because that's almost universally what the cause was. North Bay fires, also called the October 2017 fires, because I think North Bay has been recycled a couple of times as a phrase. Also, the Northern California firestorm of Oakland, that was different. So we must not forget that so many, like the LaPorte and the Cascade and the Cherokee fires, that the Adobe, the Tubbs, the Sulphur, Redwood Valley, the Pocket, the Patrick, the 37, the Atlas, there are even more than this, but many, many fatalities all in the same 24-hour period, the night of October 8th into October 9th. With the Atlas, 6 deaths, 781 structures destroyed or damaged. In Napa Solano, remember, almost all of these are power lines going down at the same time because PG&E has neglected their power line maintenance for decades. They got investigated after all these and after Paradise a year later because they still didn't learn their lesson. A year later, they still had a policy of keeping lines energized in Santa Ana's and Diablo winds, even after they had killed so many. So let's write down the timestamp for this. Excuse me, this is about as much memorial as I can do because Googling it will put a bunch of horrifying images in front of you. We're not going to do that. Part of why the stream isn't more popular with millions of subs is I don't show devastation. It's a sanctuary, whenever we can. if the people who are evacuated and need evacuation help, yeah, we'll go over this in a second, friends, just one sec. If the people who need evacuation info and help are fire traumatized and can't stand looking at buildings burning down and don't want to see possibly their own, then we can't help them if we show buildings burning down. They tune out and then they don't have anywhere to look because that's why they don't look at the media. So that's why spreading the word here on the channel to help us spread by word of mouth is so important, friends. So the North Bay fires, let's go and show you the statistics. Real quick, my quick tribute. It's about all I have in me because it's such a sad thing to revisit. The October 2017 Northern California wildfires, also known as the Northern California Firestorm, number 6 or something. The North Bay fires, the wine country fires. Remember, everybody just got tunnel vision on Napa and forgot about Yuba and Sutter County and Butte County, but hey. Also called the wine country fires, were a series of 250 wildfires. These are just the big ones. That started burning across the state of California beginning in early October. 21 became major that burned at least 245,000 acres, or 99,000 hectares, roughly. They broke out in Napa County, Lake County by Clear Lake, Sonoma, Mendocino County, Butte, Solano County, also Yuba, Butte, come on. They're not chopped liver. And part of Sutter, no, that was just Yuba, excuse me. Effectively leading to a major red flag warning for much of Northern California. So Pacific Gas and Electric, PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, reported that red flag conditions existed in 44 of the 49 counties it served in the area. So that means, reading between the lines, they were single-handedly responsible for most of them, because they basically neglected line maintenance and the removal of hazard vegetation, like, half-rotten trees leaning towards their lines. They neglected to do that for decades, and so in 44 of their 49 counties they service, they had hazardous conditions and red flag as a perfect setup for a disaster. So, and by the way, the one that started the Zog fire, the Zog later, which is in Shasta, after this event, I believe it was 2020 or 2021. I think it's 2020. I can't remember. The Zog fire was also PG&E stuff, and just for your information, how bad it is as an example, you could look it up. The tree that leaned on power lines in the Zog fire when there were high winds like this and red flag kind of conditions, that tree had been tagged by PG&E as dangerous for more than 6 years and never removed. Just again and again and again, and it was almost completely hollow and looked like it was propped up by part of its bark, and that was about it. So just totally criminal negligence, just in the name of profit as a publicly traded company. I mean, Butte County investigating PG&E later for 85 counts of manslaughter at Paradise. Found internal memos where they said, let's just let our lines fail instead of maintaining them in many places, because that's cheaper to replace them entirely than to maintain. There could be some fires, but they usually fall down in storms. Storms are usually wet, right? It's okay to keep them energized during the storm. No, that's not okay. Not when there's 125-mile-an-hour wind gusts roaring out of the mountains and sustained of 75 miles an hour in some places. So, my quick tribute. This is when I woke up, and a couple days later, I watched Santa Rosa, but didn't understand the full extent of how the fires are breaking out everywhere. And I called a few days later, and our family friend was a missing person over there in the Cascade. So, 17 separate wildfires were reported at the time. At Pacific Gas and Electric reported 44 of its 49 counties had red flag. These fires included the Tubbs, which grew to be the most destructive wildfire in the history of California up until that time. Oh, one year later, PG&E would outdo itself and do Paradise, but hey. Atlas, the Nuns, and the others, that sentence doesn't make sense, but they were the worst in California's history. Thank you, Power Company. It has nothing to do with global warming, by the way, because these are seasonal winds. They're called Diablo and Santa Ana winds, and they run October through January. And every power company in the world should make a vow to never run the power. If there's any lines in surge, in their lines surge is detected, they should just assume wildfire and just hit the off button. Because the wind will blow out open flame running that fast. Like if there's a small fire, it'll blow out. Like a campfire will blow out. I mean, it's still dangerous. You can have embers and coals being blown around by a campfire, but we're talking about the flames would blow out in that kind of wind. But you get about 3 things might start a fire, like a gas leak sort of thing, a road flare, because it's something that's windproof. But that doesn't, you never read about that. But a power line down will electrocute and dry up and bounce around until it starts a fire. Because power lines will just continuously crank the heat up. Electricity is enormously hot until something ignites, and it'll keep doing it, and keep igniting is the equivalent of throwing sparks into tinder with the fire starter with the flint and the steel. It'll just constantly do that. But imagine the sparks being more like a welding, So, blah, 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 blah. They issued days prior, they said there would be Diablo winds forecast. They were gusting over 70 miles an hour, blah, blah, blah. So Jerry Brown, the governor at the time, declared states of emergency in places. 2 days later, President Trump approved disaster declaration. So let's see. Let's just go to the death toll. Let's just run through this because I gotta go. So the Cherokee Fire in Butte County burned 8,000 plus acres. The Atlas in Napa and Solano County, 51,624. 6 deaths. 781 structures destroyed, 120 structures damaged. Tubbs, the infamous Tubbs fire, Napa and Sonoma, 36,000 acres, 807. And 22 deaths. Much of Santa Rosa burned down, and that's not rural living, and that's not, oh, you guys sprawled into fire zone. Okay, Santa Rosa is one of the oldest cities in California. It's like Spanish missionary stuff. It's a city proper. It's not sprawl into. You're crouching into animal habitat. So many idiots said, "Oh, it's great California burned down because you're encroaching into animal habitat, and you just shouldn't live near fire danger." It was the power company, you jerks. But that's what the media just doesn't cover. So a lot of the victims are blamed instead of helped. So 5,643 structures destroyed in the Tubbs, 317 damaged, and 1 structure injured. That doesn't make any sense. For structures, 22 died in the Tubbs fire. In the Nuns, we had 3 deaths. It was also huge, 56,556 acres. This is all the same night. And then they had 3 fatalities. It merged with the Adobe, the Patrick, the Presley, the Oakmont fires, and the Merged. If I'm saying that right, 1,355 structures destroyed, and yes, different power lines down, pretty much. The Redwood Valley in Mendocino County burned 36,523 acres. Remember, this is its anniversary today. We can have these kind of wind events today, next week. This is why I need a laptop before I go to California, because I will not leave you. I will not be without the ability to be here in this crisis if should one break out for us. I cannot in good conscience be unprepared and go to California without the ability to really do stream. So all of you with the laptop fund, thank God you have helped us. Redwood Valley, 36,500 and change acres, 9 deaths, 545 structures destroyed, 43 injured. The LaPorte fire in Butte County burned 6,000 acres, but everybody managed to escape by the skin of their teeth, and I've spoken to some of them. I mean, that nearly trapped a lot of people. Now, the nearby Cascade in Yuba County, which is right next to each other, burned about 10,000 acres. One of the 2 fatalities was my family friend Stan, and the other one was his girlfriend for 2 of the fatalities. Many injuries happened. A lot of families barely survived by crawling into the culverts, the tiny ones underneath their driveways, going face down in ponds and shallow streams, and having forced to defend their homes with a garden hose because they were trapped. But many people were injured with burns, and some people had to drive through hell. So in that Cascade fire, 10,000 acres, 4 fatalities. They don't list the injuries, but I'm just giving you an idea. 143 residential and 123 outbuildings destroyed because it's just not a big town. Bangor and Loma Rica they're not big out there. They're like former gold rush towns that are mostly like just rural communities now. With a couple of stores, a post office, and a restaurant. The sulfur fire in Lake County over here by Clear Lake. Hey, Mr. Tahoe, welcome. How are you? I was just wrapping this because I've got to prepare to go pick up equipment tomorrow on the coast so I can get to California and stream. How is everything by Tahoe? I'm glad there's no big events over there. And the one that I covered about a week ago, was it 5 days ago? They took care of it really quick in the middle of the night. Oh, sending money in Venmo, I need at least the last 4 of a phone number. I have a Venmo link though. Let me get it to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You're so kind. What if you use this link? Does it work? That should be all pre-set up for you. Yes, may the fire victims rest in peace. So I just want to read this real quick for anybody who must go, like I really should here. The 37 fire was at Sonoma County, 1,600 acres. This is the anniversary of how I woke up to fires. It's a grim anniversary of my family friend's death in the Cascade Fire, one of the 2 of the 4. So I'm never very happy on this day. And we did meet the 1,000 membership goal, but please keep becoming members. Anybody who signs up to become a member in the next couple of days. Oh, I think it came in. Cash App, Jimmy, thank you so much for all the kind donations, friends. We've got 900 in the Venmo account. We've got 900 in the Venmo towards a laptop fund and a greater, better gear fund and the Get to California fund. Yeah, thank you so much. And yes, no donation is too small, friends. I appreciate every dollar. I'm so grateful, Mr. Tahoe. Of course, I'll do a stream where I try to plan things. I'm trying to leave by the 15th or 16th. I don't know if I'm going to the Tahoe area first and coming around the mountains, or if I'm going down I-5. I don't know. I'll try to let you guys know. But I need to check on my relatives who are in Florida and do so many things. Early tomorrow, I may be driving to the coast to get equipment. A new fire, the Trooper Fire. What the heck is that? Yeah, I want to meet you. And thank you, Mr. Tahoe. Let's get let me share your channel so people can go and sub to you and enjoy your content. I hope we can interact one day when I can get some time. I want to binge watch. Here's Mr. Tahoe's channel. Go like and subscribe, friends. I like to share the love back. And you always come in right when we're about to wrap up. I'm sorry. But we'll return. I plan to return to Tahoe as bringing the tire change just in case. When does the snow usually begin? I know that the Caldor was basically ended by snow instead of rain. And I think that was late October, right? It adds up. Cool. Yeah, it really does. You lost 300 subscribers the last few days? Why do you think that is? I know what YouTube does is punishes us for not being live or making content every week, and it seems like they start unenrolling our subscribers. They say no, it was the fake accounts and the accounts to get banned. But I would lose a solid 29 to 31 subscribers every single month that I was really ill. I mean, it can't be the exact same number every time. And many people come back and say, "You're still doing fires? I thought you quit after 2021." No, they're like, "Who unsubbed me?" I'm like, YouTube does that. Oh, okay. So we can't start a keyword like that, Marcia, because we'll get an argument started with those topics. So we tend to avoid those. I hope you understand that when those arguments begin, it's very hard to moderate chat when people start talking about those. I hope you understand. And so to recap the very end of what happened, this is more impactful if you read it all at once, but you can just see how crazy the statistics are. I wish there was at the bottom, they added this all up. You could, this is almost like an Excel spreadsheet, the way they make this website, for Wiki. They could have a total at the bottom, because I'd have to get a calculator out. I guess totals might be over here up at the top. They said at least 245,000 acres burned in basically a 24-hour period, just because mainly power lines went down in multiple counties and PG&E did not turn it off. So that hampered the rescue. Fire crews in some neighborhoods burned down just because they didn't turn the power off, so they couldn't put water on people's homes because power lines were in the homes. So when people say, "Well, it's just global warming," record scratch. These had nothing to do with it. These are not good examples of that. Canada wildfire is okay. Go look at that. But these are seasonal winds that are geography based, and we should never let our guard down. Even if we fix the climate or whatever people think fixing it is, this would still happen, and we'd still be just as vulnerable. Especially when you have reckless with fire corporations running around lighting fires that can just declare bankruptcy and don't really suffer too much because the politicians band together to make sure that they don't go under. They allow them to cheat the victims and give them stock options instead of their homes back, and they really don't have to this day much of an incentive to stop counter-racing wildfires because it didn't financially impact them that much. They got permission to raise rates on the victims, and so unfortunately for us, what that does is gives power companies ambivalence as an attitude. Like they don't have much of an incentive to stop wildfires because anytime one happens in one part of California, they're not really on the hook for the damages because for some reason people are told to use their own home insurance to pay for the wildfire that the power company caused. So they put the burden of home replacement and stuff replacement on insurance companies who are now pulling out of the state because of that. And so PG&E gets sigh of relief and other power companies, and anytime they do start a big wildfire, they can basically raise rates on the victims. So everybody else in the state. So it sort of benefits them to have them occur still rather than be fully committed to preventing wildfires via expensive maintenance and burying the lines where it's kind of hopeless and it's kind of stupid to have above ground wooden power lines. So it's not like they want us to die. That's not the case. It's just that maybe some cold-hearted at the top who call the shots aren't particularly bothered by this. That's the scary situation. And I think that'll always be the case, that in corporations, sometimes psychopaths rise to the top. It's just a thing. Backstabbers climb corporate ladders very well. And I don't mean to say that CEOs tend to be psychos. It's just that here we are, not implying that. But I'm saying that some of that lack of caring would be explained by that. Either way, instead of we do have something that will help, and that is whistleblower protection laws for anyone in any business, especially the power business. Any employee can, of their own volition, hit the stop button. That would have prevented the Dixie. If the Dixie didn't happen, then the Caldor would probably not have happened, because there would have been enough resources to quickly respond to it. There was nobody really to respond to the Caldor. And then Tahoe wouldn't have been at risk, and we might still have an El Dorado National Forest today, and also a Plumas National Forest. But we have remnants instead. Remnants. And if you want to talk about climate change, please mention this. What is the effect of deforestation? That has been proven to promote climate change, and even sometimes it's just local. But you deforest an area, the plants can no longer hold as much moisture around them. The trees are holding thousands, if not hundreds of gallons of water in their trunks. And then at night, when part of the oxygen cycle goes, they produce a little bit of moisture. It's like urinating for trees. They suck it up their roots, right? And then they release moisture in their leaves and their pine needles and stuff. And that creates humidity for downwind. That creates a humid, moist environment where you can have a healthy forest. And without the shade and without the trees producing the moisture at night, without the oxygen cycle, it's very hard to reestablish forests. And much of California is experiencing desertification, which is extremely hard to replant sometimes because of the lack of shade. Water will run off instead of soaking into plants, trees, and the ground, and the soil won't be held together. So this could be semi-permanent damage to California, or the likes of which might last 1,000 years unless we really work together to stop these optional mega power line fires that kill so many, erase the towns, and make it so that the normal fires, we don't have enough staff. We have to stop that, because desertification, just look at the Middle East. It was a fertile crescent like everywhere, just it used to be much more wet, like in the Bronze Age and Iron Age and Roman times. But what happened was deforestation of the Atlas Mountains of northern Africa, which produced a lot of the moisture that went as a band over the Middle East and became rain. So Africa was a lot more wet a couple thousand years ago, and it may have been man-made or not, but it's unclear. But there used to be tropical rainforests of North Africa, and they used to be a breadbasket of food production, pretty much like Egypt, like where Carthage was. If you can believe that. There's still some of it called the Atlas Mountains in Morocco. They're trying to rebuild it, but that would be quite a project. But once the deforestation occurred, thousands of years have gone by and it did not grow back because it's still not moist enough. So it's a long slog, and this would be permanent damage until we intervene. Humanity somewhere down the line. It would be great if we did it soon. So J-Cat says, I don't need you telling me I'm nuts. I already knew it. That's right. David Dillon says, I live in Redding. Okay, that's right. And my family spends most of our summers up there by that lake. I love the Fenders area. Please be vigilant this evening. I know how the terrain is up there. Okay. Yeah. You know what? I'll see if I can't, David, give you an email and see if you can't call me and give me heads ups. That's something I can do quickly. Let me write that down. Okay, friends. It'll be easier if you just email me right now so I don't have to dig, because I got buried in a lot of weird spam and fake emails, fake donation emails, like the PayPal and Cash App and Venmo that looked convincing. I'm glad I didn't click on them, but it's been weird. Yeah, Grumpy Gamer Guy, I'm about to call you. Yeah, I'll give you a bat phone number. I'll connect you to the bat line. And you could say, hey, Reading area, check this out. And then later we can work closer and figure things out. Okay, so to-do list, email you immediately. The phone number. Okay, I've got about 5 of these now to put on business cards and whatnot for different ringtones so that I know like if something's fire, not as much as I can. But yeah, everybody, thank you for being here. It's time for me to try to get ready. We do have a Chinook, guys. We do have a Chinook on the shoe fire. Let's look at it now that it's nighttime. And if they can get a good handle on it, checking it out by whenever they get around to updating us around 10 in the morning to noon, hopefully it's a good result that they have wetlined something or taken the heat out of something or firing ops went well or whatever they did tonight to stop the progress and get basic lines in and hopefully hold it. So you're very lucky with the weather. We have been so far, guys. October so far has been so mild that I'm sweating. You know, JB kept saying calm before the storm. If we get another week of dryness and high temps, God help us, is if the Santa Anas or high wind events come before more moisture. So, just need one wetting rain. A schnook. A schnook is headed that way. A schnook. Oh man, we gotta make that a meme. Okay, friends. So yeah, babbling too much. Try to get offline a couple of times, but it's worth that. Definitely worth talking to you guys, and thank you much for your kind donations and support. I don't have the master list I want to do in the thank you stream. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I definitely can't do it on a day that I'm this down. Man, Stan was an awesome attorney. He would have sued the living pelvis off of PG&E. I bet you he would have put the fear of God into PG&E, and with his harrowing first-hand accounts, Your Honor, of how PG&E almost killed me, like, wouldn't that have been awesome? And his influence, if he had been able to perhaps make PG&E fearful of lawsuits, maybe they would have changed their policy by the time the Calfire came out a year later. But then again, maybe that's a pipe dream. Maybe they knew that they had enough politician friends that they had nothing to fear. Who knows? But in an alternative timeline, he's my hero, and PG&E changes their ways, in my superhero universe. So thank you guys for being here, and there are too many to thank. If you don't see a join button, but you want to become a member, then look at the pinned chat message, and the link I'm going to drop right now, this should allow you to join via a link and become an eggling and gift, if you have any other spare dough, gift memberships to others so that they can see cool behind the scenes stuff as well. Remember, don't watch the cameras all night. It'll make you suffer and bite fingernails off. Yeah, not all night. Take breaks, man. Take breaks. Stay healthy. All right, thank you. All right, love you guys. Good night. Good luck. And we never forget all the fallen. Too many wildfires to name, too many power company deaths, too many others. But your deaths were not in vain. Change is coming. Some of it's already